Let's hear it for Abby Cohn and her performance of our national anthem.
Let's go racing at Texas Motor Speedway. Brad Keselowski in the 22 car, Austin Dillon in the 33, Dale Jr. in the 88, driver number 24, Jeff Gordon in the booth helping us call the race next. Welcome back. Time to go racing in Texas on Fox Sports 1. As you've noticed, we've employed Cup drivers to serve as guest analysts in our XFINITY broadcast booth this year. Kevin Harvick, Brad Keselowski, and Clint Boyer all did a great job. Now let's meet this week's guest analyst. With a lifetime of championships at whatever level he's competed, Jeff Gordon has decided this will be his last season as a full-time driver in NASCAR Sprint Cup. Jeff's won all the big races, 92 Cup victories to date, third on the all-time wins list. Over 2 decades in this sport, Jeff has helped put NASCAR on a national stage and done it with skill, passion, class, and grace. There he is, Jeff Gordon. That's the best introduction we have, Jeff. We know you're going to be great. Calling today's race with AA and MW. You're in good hands.
No, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
Well, and you said it, Danielle. You know, Jeff doing a lot of things for the final time in his career in 2015, but this is the first time he has been in the broadcast booth with us. We're happy to have you here, and I'll tell you what I'm most impressed with, the fact that you are not afraid to get in the garage and do your homework. During qualifying earlier today, you were getting after it. What'd you learn down there?
Yeah, you know, I wanted to talk to some of these young guys like Brendan Poole. I got a chance to talk to Chase Elliott as well, Ty Dillon. I really just wanted to find out what kind of things they're dealing with versus what I deal with in the Cup car and what things they were expecting tonight.
Well, the challenges are going to be great tonight. Speed's over 190 miles an hour down in the corners, and these guys haven't run in the dark. How much different is it going to be for them?
I think it's going to be a lot different. This track changes so much with track temperature. We already saw it in qualifying how much it changed for them from yesterday. Plus, they were on a very green racetrack yesterday. It was laying rubber very quickly. I think it's going to be a lot different, and the balance is what I'm going to be looking for. One is who's going to be battling Keselowski, which we found out is going to be going to the back. Best thing that happened to all of us are going to be watching this race. And that's not personal. That's not personal. But him coming from the back is going to be very exciting. And then who can compete with him?
And here's another thought I've got. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the field tonight, got his first career victory here. Chase Elliott in the field, won for the first time in his career a year ago. Eric Jones is on the pole. Perhaps he could get his first win here tonight. We'll see in a moment. First, let's go trackside.
Here to give the command to start engines for tonight's race, the Vice President of Express Lube, Jason Smith.
Drivers, start your engines.
It's the first night race of the year on Fox Sports 1 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Our championship leader is Ty Dillon. We go from the driver's seat with him next. Good to have you with us on a Friday night from Texas Motor Speedway. Tonight it's round 6 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. And after a couple of weeks off, we thought it'd be a good idea to update the championship standings. Ty Dillon out front, 5 points in front of Chris Buescher, the hometown kid. You look at the top 5 here, the average age, 21. Yes, the youth movement is on, and Ty Dillon, our championship leader, starting 16th in tonight's race. Let's go from the driver's seat with the man that everybody's chasing for the title.
Hey, Ty Dillon, it's Michael Waltrip up in the Fox Sports 1 booth, starting 16th. Got a lot of cars to pass. Let me ask you this. You're the championship leader. How important is that fact right now in this race? Do you put that out of your mind, or do you race for points?
Our whole game plan this whole year is to win races, and I think if we can win all the races, we'll win the points. So that's our game plan tonight. We didn't qualify the way we wanted to. It's kind of been our MO a little bit this year, but we've really been racing good. And I think tonight in this Waynesburg where Chevy, it should be any different.
Hey, Ty, this is Jeff Gordon from the booth. I spoke to you earlier. You mentioned qualifying. Do you have the car? What are you going to have to do to search around this racetrack to get yourself to the front, to get those good results that you've been getting?
I think we have the adjustments built in the car to where we should be able to adjust all night and get ourselves better. And I think it's just that, too, for me, is searching around, make sure I can find the best speed for our car, whether it's the top or the bottom. And I like racing here in Texas. I was able to win here in the Truck Series, so hopefully go back to victory lane.
All right, best of luck. We look forward to watching.
No problems for Ty Dillon tonight. He hasn't started in the top 10 all season long, and despite that fact, 4 of our first 5 races, he's found himself inside the top 10 at races end. Just a couple of laps before we go green, so let's make one last trip down the pit lane here from our reporters. We start things off with Chris Neville. Hello, Chris.
Hey, Adam. Well, Brendan Gaughan, he's having a great run of races, coming off a second-place finish in California, a string of 3 top 10s, and talking with his crew chief, Shane Wilson, he says it's all about these guys, a group of guys that have been together for a year now, and that consistency has meant good execution. And tonight, he said the key to this thing is going to be about good, consistent long runs of 50 laps. No short runs here, just a good long run. Jamie?
Well, Chris, Jeff Gordon mentioned it just moments ago. Brad Keselowski will drop to the back for unapproved adjustments. I just talked to the team, and they told me earlier today in qualifying they had a fuel pressure gauge issue. It was fluctuating. So to err on the safe side, they swapped out the fuel pump and the gauge and some other components to make sure they don't have an issue. So the team just told me they're excited to watch their driver race from the back to the front. Vince Welch?
Well, relative to the size of the racetrack here at Texas, the pit boxes are actually on the small side, so it's tight on pit lane. The drivers will need to be sharp on entrance and exit, and the pit crews will need to be on their game to not get a penalty and possibly derail their chances at victory. And the crew chiefs must make the proper adjustments. Not a lot of pit stops today, and that includes the adjustments prior to the race. And for more on that, let's check in with our rules analyst and crew chief, Andy Petrie.
Yeah, we've heard about Vince all night about how difficult this racetrack is when it cools down. And another thing for the XFINITY series is they have a rule that's called the impound rule. Every week they have to go through tech after practice before qualifying, and they're not allowed to make any changes to the car other than the NASCAR approved adjustments, which are small. You got air pressure, track bar, wedge, even a shock adjustment or 2. But if you make changes that are not approved by NASCAR, you have to go to the back, just like Brad Keselowski is.
And what a big headline to pay off that rule tonight. And there you can see Brad, who qualified on the front row. He will start at the rear. And as Jeff said earlier, it's going to be entertaining for us tonight to watch that 22 car drive through the field.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what we love to see is cars passing and coming up through the field. And you're certainly going to see that. And Brad is going to be all over this racetrack. And the reason I'm really excited is because he's done this before, and we know he's going to do it again tonight. He's going to get his way to the front before this thing's over.
And on top of that, when Keselowski drops to the back, we're going to have a pair of rookies bringing us to the green flag. You talked about how much this racetrack is going to change, what these guys will have in store for them when they head off in the corner at 190 miles an hour, and we're going to have 2 rookies leading us. This race is going to have it all.
And there you see those rookies at the front of the field. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear tonight. Everything they learn making tires for the grueling demands of NASCAR inspires what rolls into yours. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. The numbers for tonight's race: 69 degrees, 84 the track temp. And as you look at the numbers that we will see, 200 laps, 300 miles, we listen into Brad Keselowski and his team.
KBK, tonight a little work to do, but that's why you're here.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. Get it done. Glad to have you.
You know, no matter whether Brad's in the Xfinity Series, the Cup Series, he's always got a positive attitude. And you know, I think that means a lot, especially when you're going to be going through what he's going to be going through tonight.
Biggest challenge for him, maybe long green flag runs. Not a lot of opportunity to tighten that field up, regain the track position. Michael said it. 2 rookies on the front row. Pole sitter Eric Jones in the 20. The orange 18 is Daniel Suarez. Here we go at Texas.
The other thing we didn't talk about is spinning the tires on the restart or the original start. You definitely saw Daniel Suarez really spin the tires. It's really easy to do here at Texas. We're going to see a lot more of that as this race goes on.
Didn't take us long to get 3 wide either. Coming off turn 2 on the first lap, they've tucked 3 wide. Looked like somebody might have gotten the outside wall off turn 2 there. It's a little bit dicey on low air pressure, the new tires, and running 3 wide's hard.
This place, aerodynamics and clean air, we always talk about track position, but for some reason this track with the transitions you have in and off the racetrack, you really can lose the front or lose the whole car as you get behind 3 or 4 cars as they go 3 and 4 wide.
That Blue 88 in second. Dale Earnhardt Jr. behind the wheel this week. Last time out for the Xfinity Series, that team went to victory lane with Kevin Harvick. And an early caution. Hearing maybe fluid in turn 4, Michael.
I think the 74 car of Mike Harmon, he didn't get a lap in qualifying, and now just a lap or 2 into the race, he's got some issues. Talked about the tire spin, Jeff. We see rookie Eric Jones get a great start, but not so much for Suarez.
And I think it kind of, well, you see Suarez start to carry momentum up there, and then I think he had to check up, and when he had to check up and then go back to the throttle, he really spun the tires. And from that point on, you're just a sitting duck trying to get into 3rd gear, into 4th gear, and hope that you don't lose too many positions.
Look how tight it is right there with Regan Smith right on his left rear quarter panel. He's lucky he didn't get turned around.
I think Regan really was kind to him right there. He could have pushed that issue and caused an accident right there in turn 1 and 2. This place we've seen before. We've seen wrecks right in the very early stages in turns 1 and 2.
You know who benefited from that bottleneck at the front? Chase Elliott. Qualified in the 9th position. Early caution. He finds himself 5th. It's Eric Jones leading early under caution at Texas. Chris Buescher came into this race second in the championship, only 5 points back of our leader Ty Dillon. Qualified 10th tonight, and you felt like this is a good opportunity for them to come out, lay down another top 5 finish, but they were the car that you referred to, Michael, at the start of the race having an issue off of turn 2.
Yeah, bright young talent in Chris Buescher, and this is very common here at Texas. This is what you call the car getting away from you, but it's because of the cars in front of them. The aerodynamics coming off of that car just were blocking a hole, and he just kind of lost the nose and got in the wall a little bit there. Good call, Michael. Sorry, I took that one for you.
It doesn't look like that car's damaged enough, Jeff. I know aerodynamics are really important here at Texas, 190 miles an hour we talked about, but I don't think that car's damaged enough where he can't still go up there and run in the top 5.
Other than just starting in the back and having a lot of disturbed air, I think that the car looks fine. I think that where he's at in the championship, bright young star in this guy. I mean, he's got a great future, and he's having such a great year. I think they just wanted to make sure that they didn't have a fender rubbing, make sure that those championship points are so important to them today.
So a couple of Fords with adversity early. With that, we give you our Ford track facts. 10 Texas wins here. That's the best of all manufacturers. And Jack Roush and his group, very, very good when it comes to racing at Texas in the Xfinity Series 8 times they've gone to victory lane, including the first race ever here back in the late 90s.
Now, you know, we saw some guys spinning tires on that original start. They may only have a half a lap on the tires, but I can promise you they're going to be spinning the tires a lot more right here.
Front row on the restart, Eric Jones, who's led every lap so far. To his outside, Dale Earnhardt Jr., a Sprint Cup regular, looking for his first victory of 2015. Green flag goes in the air as we complete lap 5 here at Texas.
Really anxious to see if this inside lane moves as good as it did on that original start, or if that was just Suarez holding that outside lane up.
I think it was. Dale Jr. did a nice roll. He had some momentum, then he squeezed into the gas and got a good start on the outside. But look at young Jones fighting back on the bottom.
See Denny Hamlin looking for some clean air, went to that third lane, probably just trying it out here a little bit early so that he can go there on later restarts. But you know, it's so important to just try to find any clean air to get as much downforce on the cars here, especially when you're 2 and 3 and 4 wide like they are here early.
You see that red and black car, Austin Dillon, moving in and out of traffic, and despite his problems on the start, Daniel Suarez is not scared either in the orange number 18.
I'm so anxious to see, Daniel, how he does, because this is a track where experience really pays off. This is a tricky racetrack. It gets slick, the tires fall off. You got to search around this racetrack, and obviously he's got a great race car, but does he have, you know, the racing knowledge on a track like this, and can he gain that experience to really race with these veterans?
I think that's what was so impressive with about Chase Elliott's win here a year ago. Not a lot of experience, comes in here to this racetrack that is tricky, is tough to drive. He was able to pull off the win. That put him on everybody's front page about a star of the future just from that one night last year.
Absolutely. I mean, when I watched that race, I was blown away by Chase Elliott, and then he continued to do that throughout the year at places like Darlington that would really surprise you. And last year at this race, he didn't start out strong. He didn't have a great car at the beginning. And what impressed me so much, besides racing those veterans for the win, like Kevin Harvick, but he and the team made adjustments to improve the car throughout the race and had the best car and the best driver at the end of that race to win it.
How about Junior Motorsports tonight? Dale Jr. is out front. You saw Regan Smith jumping into the top 5 as he went around Daniel Suarez, and just in front of Darrell Wallace Jr. here. To his outside now, the man that won here a year ago, and that would be the 9 of Chase Elliott. Now the battle for the lead. Eric Jones lost it on the restart, but he's knocking on the door of that 88.
Yeah, you know, Junior is so good at a track like this. He loves to search around racetracks. I wasn't here during practice yesterday, but I heard he was searching every groove that they had. And, you know, here early on, him being up front, you know, you're going to see him find that outside lane working probably before anybody else. But surprisingly enough, he's on the bottom, getting a lot of pressure from behind from Eric Jones.
Today's been all about Eric Jones. Won all 3 qualifying sessions. This young man has been so impressive. Jeff, a year ago, last year in the Truck Series race here in Texas, he was out of control. I thought he'd wrecked 4 or 5 times. He kept adjusting his truck, saving his truck. He proved to me that night that he was going to be a man to be reckoned with.
That's what I love about young, talented drivers is you're sitting there watching, waiting for the wreck to happen, waiting for the wreck to happen. And the really good ones don't wreck. They find a way to keep that car going straight, and then you know that with time they'll keep that car or that truck straight and will go to the front and will win races. And I think that's what we're going to see out of this young Eric Jones.
So the update there on Brad Keselowski, he's up 18 positions after having dropped to the back, and the 60 of Chris Buescher starting to rally back toward the front as well. He's 17th, Chris.
Yeah, Adam, he's already moving back forward, and the team really looked over the right side of that car after contact with the wall outside of turn 2. I talked with the team once they got looking at over that car, and they just said it was body work. They took a look at the right front wheel, no real damage up there, so they pulled out the body work, sent him back out on the racetrack, and said, hey, we got a long night ahead of us, go get him.
And a couple of spots behind him, Chris, is Brad Keselowski. So these 2 drivers that had problems out of the gates already have worked their way inside the top 20. We're not even 15 laps in. The more progress you can make early, the easier it makes your night late.
And you can see how well Keselowski's working on the bottom of the track. John West Townley in the 25 car he's passing has lost a few spots since the green flag. Saw John really loose up in turn 3 and 4 a couple of laps ago, and Buescher made his way around, and there goes Keselowski. Keselowski has historically been a guy that really makes his car work on the bottom of the racetrack here. We talk about Dale Jr. He's up high a lot of times. We see Brad just eating that bottom up. And when you run these Xfinity cars, it seems like maybe the bottom is a bit of an advantage.
I think, you know, the lack in power. Here's a pass for the lead. Looks like Eric Jones is maybe going to complete this pass on Dale Jr. Dale Jr. does not want him to get the lead. I think he knows if this guy gets the lead, it could be over. Plus, Dale Jr. just has fun. He just has fun in these Xfinity races. He just enjoys racing and battling these guys. He's not there for points. He just gets to go out there and you know, take a young guy like Eric Jones and maybe teach him a few things.
Well, he taught him something there.
Yeah, he did.
Arrow loose as Dale Jr. raced up on the outside. Jones got sideways.
And I think this is Dale Jr. really, I think his car's a little free, and I think that he is waiting for that top groove to come in. It's not quite there for him yet, and I think that that was him basically saying, Eric, I know you're a little bit better than me right now, but I need to move up a little bit here and see if I can make this outside lane work.
You called that, Jeff. That was Junior calling his team and saying, I'm a little bit free on the way off. So exactly what you thought is the case, and that's why he's taken to that high side.
And it will tighten up. When you run that top groove, it just builds the air pressure up in that right front tire. The car starts to get tighter and tighter as you run, and you hope that it just doesn't get too tight, but it looks like it's now starting to really come in for him up top, and I think you're gonna see him kind of setting the mark, and we'll see how long it lasts.
Keep coming past us. Get by him. Keep coming. Keep coming. Keep coming. Clear. Caution's out.
52 spinning. Going into turn 1. Joey Gase gets turned around.
That's a long spin.
Yeah, I think that was a tire that went down the front straightaway, because there's a lot of smoke, and it looks to me like you can see, yeah, there's quite a bit of that tire that came apart.
Must have run over something. You could see no damage to the right side, so he didn't rub that tire, but it's definitely lost a right rear. That's a hairy ride. We talk about going down in the corner to 190, middle of the straightaway. How about your right rear tire blows out at 180? That'll get your attention on a Friday evening.
I would not know.
that would definitely get your attention, but also he was pretty darn lucky not to hit anything.
Nice job to keep it off the wall for young Joey Gase. 16 laps in. Dale Earnhardt Jr. leads this thing. It's Eric Jones second. Brian Scott is third. Austin Dillon, Regan Smith make up the top 5 as we go back and look at the reason for our second caution of the night.
Yeah, lucky.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that right rear tire, for whatever reason, came apart, and you know, at that point, you're just along for the ride. You can't even you know, run down the straightaway when the right rear explodes like that. You can tell it really went in a big way, because it's come apart and there's a lot of pieces flying off of it.
And you really have no idea where that thing's going to end up. It starts spinning, and you're just along for the ride. You could see he almost took out the orange cone there at the end of pit road as well.
Let's bring in our crew chief, Larry McReynolds. And Larry, I'm looking at the lap tracker here. 17 complete of 200. Too early based on the tire situation to come down pit road?
Well, trust me, and Jeff will relate to this. If this is tomorrow night, no question, pit road's going to be a busy place. But remember, you only have 5 sets of tires laying in the pits. I think we'll see maybe some guys on back in the field hit pit road, but if you use a set here, that means you only have 4 left. But looks like to me, they're bringing them down pit road.
Got to have those tires. Jeff wants them right now. He's shaking his head. Yes, give me tires.
I just think that first run, sometimes you use the tires a little bit more before rubber really gets laid down on the racetrack. So I kind of think, you know, we're right there on that edge of really needing to come in.
Let's go to Chris.
And Dale Jr. saying that car a little bit too free in the centers when he's running that low line, but balance is good when he's running the high. Going to make a small adjustment on this stop. Jamie.
And Daniel Suarez had a little trouble on that initial start. They just want to tighten him up a bit. 4 tires and fuel, Vince.
The 33 of Austin Dillon tight. They're going to make a chassis adjustment to try to get that car to turn a little bit better. 4 tires. The 20 of Eric Jones, he said it's real neutral, just a tick free, but otherwise pretty good. 4 tire change for the 20.
Wow. You gotta love having that #1 pit stall, right? You win the pole, get the #1 spot, and that means you can win the battle off the pit lane. There you see Jones, the quickest off. He's your race leader. It's NASCAR Xfinity Series racing from Texas.
Pam, there was like 4.
So we're back at Texas. It's the NASCAR Xfinity Series on Fox Sports 1, presented by Can-Am. Brendan gone, Chris Buescher stayed out. They will be 1-2 for the restart. Eric Jones, who was quickest off the pit lane, will restart third. Dale Earnhardt Jr. will restart in the 6th position. Jr. was leading the 20 prior to the caution. They had quite a battle going for the lead moments ago.
Racing now hard on lap 15. They said just stay nice and patient, take what it's giving you right here. We got a long ways to go. He knows you're better than him. He's trying to wear you down here. Just racing smart.
And this is the move that Eric Jones is talking about. Junior coming down low off turn 2, gets Jones loose.
Well, this to me is a perfect example of a young up-and-coming driver who he's taken every single thing that's happened literally and very serious. I mean, this is his life right here. He wants to win this race so bad. Not that Junior doesn't, but Junior's out there just having a good time. He's like, man, this is my team. This is Xfinity, no points on the line. And I do think he thought that outside lane was going to come in, but I think that was just him kind of playing. And, Eric's going to have to kind of get used to some of that with some of these veterans.
What I love is Eric was born about a month before Junior made his debut in the Xfinity Series back in the 90s. And so teaching him a lesson or two, that's all right, right?
Well, if he keeps running the way he is, he might teach Junior a lesson before this thing's over. That thing's pretty strong.
Brendan Gaughan takes the outside lane for the restart. Green flag back in the air as we complete lap 21.
Great start by Gaughan. Buescher wasn't able to get going down on the inside, and he's going to be 3 wide on the entry. Brendan with a really good start.
We got to talk about Brendan. I mean, this is just a great track for him. No matter what series he's in, he just has a feel for this racetrack. He knows how to search around this racetrack. And right now, he's got a big challenge ahead of him with being out on older tires. But if he can maintain here, what a huge advantage he could possibly have with tires later in this race.
Here comes his teammate, Brian Scott, through for the lead. Dale Jr., 3 wide through the middle, going for second.
In the middle, still looking inside. He's still there in the middle. Still there in the middle. You're clear.
Whoa, Jones really threw it down into turn 1. That's a hard entry. They were 3 wide. He had a narrow entry to the corner. He was able to hold on to it. Junior kept that spot, but you could tell Eric was wanting to get around Dale Jr. there with an aggressive move into turn 1.
Regan Smith in the red 7 going underneath Brendan Gaughan. His teammate there in the 9, Chase Elliott, and Austin Dillon also a part of this mix.
And look right behind these guys. There's Brad Keselowski. He started last. He's into the top 10 already. His car is working really well down on the bottom of the racetrack. Look for Keselowski to mow through these guys.
We saw Chase Elliott almost peek to the outside of Brendan down the front straightaway to make it 3 wide. That was definitely a smart choice to back out of it there, and then he went to the middle and was able to get by him in the next turn.
How good is Junior Motorsports tonight? Dale Earnhardt Jr. has led laps. He's second right now to Brian Scott. Regan Smith, Chase Elliott also in the top 5, and keeping in mind this team has already gone to victory lane twice this year with Kevin Harvick, and Dale Jr. thinking about the lead once again.
Well, Junior's certainly having a good time right now, running down Brian Scott, and he's got a very, very strong race car, and Brian's doing an excellent job. I mean, we've seen him really come on strong over the last year or two in this series, and they have very strong race cars as well, so I'm looking forward to this battle.
This is a great battle. You can tell Junior's a bit faster. He had a big hole in turn 1, and he tried to stick his nose underneath Scott. Scott closed the door.
I think Junior's just going to need to be patient here. I do think he's a little bit freer on the bottom. When that top comes in, I think that he owns it. I mean, he's just so good on that higher lane. Now, we saw right there, closing in on that 2 car, he just kind of lost the downforce on the car. He tried to run in there behind him. You can do that for a couple laps here on new tires with the grip being good on new tires. But as that grip goes away on new tires, you've got to start searching around to get that clean air. And now we see Eric Jones starting to make a move on Dale Jr.
Yeah, Dale Jr. Jones and Dale Jr. were racing hard earlier in the race, and I think Junior's wanting to hold that spot, and Jones is wanting to take it away from him. He says, I'm better than you, and I'm going to get around you, but he's going to make him work for it.
What about that 88, Chris?
Well, Adam, we heard Dale Jr. talking about what he wanted with that car before that pit stop, but after the pit stop, he and his crew chief had a long conversation about what the car was doing and what they need to focus on later in this race.
It was too tight in. Like, I had to really be careful to back the corner up, and I'm hoping that's sort of more the cycles than anything. And then it was, real loose center off. If I did everything right, it was too free.
And that's something really common here at Texas. Being out there in the Cup practice earlier, that's what I thought all day long was slide in the front. You got to back the corner up, meaning you're just letting off the throttle before you get to the corner, or you're maybe backing out of it a little more, or just sooner, or maybe using a little more brake. You just slow that car down a little bit more to keep those front tires gripping, and then if he can find a way to do that, maybe they can tighten the car up for that exit to have that good drive off.
Junior looking low, unable to make the pass, but no doubt about it, Brian Scott knows he's there, Vince.
Well, and Brian Scott was way too tight on landing during that first run. They made a chassis adjustment to try to help him out, but he says it's still tight center. They just told him, his crew chief Mike Hillman Jr., that as he runs, it'll start to free up and come to him. Hang in there, be patient, it's going to get better. But boy, he's feeling the pressure from Junior.
I'm really impressed with the chassis adjustment that they made on the 88 car. Junior was fading a bit. He was getting loose. They made an adjustment. He was running high. He's able to stick to the bottom of the road. Will this track change as the race continues to go on, Jeff? Can these drivers look for other adjustments to be necessary?
Well, I'm really curious about the track temperature, because to me, once you get rubber laid down after that first run, and maybe we pick a little bit of up on the caution laps, but then it really is about track temperature, where when that track temperature goes down, then it will change the characteristics and balance of the car.
Couple of rookies here. Darrell Wallace Jr. in the 6th, right now in the 9th position. The 18 orange car, Daniel Suarez, got in the wall a moment ago. We'll show you that in a second. First, Regan Smith continues on the move. Dale Jr. lost second to Eric Jones. Regan Smith now gets through for third as we go back and look at Suarez.
That's that exit of turn 2. We talk about how difficult it is. That's a big hit, too.
Yeah, you saw the left front splitter pop up on that one. That was definitely a good hit. It probably bent a little bit something in, maybe the track bar mount or something in the rear. That car is not going to drive as good now.
Good battle for teammates here, huh?
It really is. The Junior Motorsports cars are, been running really, really strong.
And look at Brad Keselowski. I mean, it takes him 15 laps to get in the top 10, and now he's knocking on the door of the top 5, Jamie.
Putting on a show, started this race 37th after 32 laps. He's already up front, running 7th right now. About 15 laps ago, though, he was running about 15, and he was already asking what line is the 88 of Dale Jr. running, because he told me before the race that was going to be the car to beat. Now, Brad is so happy with this car. When they came in, they only put 4 tires on it, no adjustments.
And I said it took him 15 laps to get in the top 10, 15 green flag laps. The point I'm making, the 22 car is fast, and he will be a player before the night's over.
Another player that's coming into the picture there is Austin Dillon. We saw Dillon extremely dominant when we ran the 1.5 miles at Las Vegas. Had a fast car yesterday in practice. He's moved around Chase Elliott and is beginning to put some pressure on Regan Smith and Dale Jr. as he continues to move forward.
Yeah, I don't know if that adjustment that they made on Junior's car just maybe isn't working as well. He just doesn't seem to be as strong this run. I mean, Brian Scott certainly has done a great job working the racetrack and moving around. And of course, Eric Jones has just been solid right on the bottom all night.
It was like that adjustment helped him for a few laps, but now the car's starting to go away a little bit. So
34 of 200 laps complete here in Texas. Brian Scott, the race leader. Back with more in a moment. First, let's go to Los Angeles, the news desk, and Alan Massengale. It's one of the great stops on the NASCAR schedule, Texas Motor Speedway. Tonight, all about the Xfinity Series. Tomorrow, NASCAR's Top Shelf, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You can watch the action live on Fox. Kevin Harvick going for his 3rd win. The guys from Team Penske trying to get their 2nd win of the season. Our guy Jeff Gordon looking for his 1st victory of the year, starting 12th tomorrow night. We'll see you 7 p.m. Eastern on Fox.
There's the man, guys. He is charging not only from 37th up into the top 5, but the last couple of times by, he's had about a half a tenth to a couple of tenths on the field, the fastest car.
How does your mentality change, though, Jeff? Because you start out in the back, you know you got to go get it. Now here we are, not even a quarter way into the race. You're into the top 5. Do you reset a little bit, or do you stay hungry and keep getting after it?
Well, I think Brad is the type of driver that stays hungry. I mean, he knows it only gets tougher as you get closer to the front. So I think at the beginning, it's be careful, make smart moves. Then there's a point where you can be a little bit more aggressive. You know the guys that you're racing around, and you've got a good race car, and you make some bold moves because you know that's going to make time. But at this stage, you know, it's really about reading the car. How good is the car? Obviously, it's good. He's able to go around the bottom. Right here, he goes down to the bottom to the white line through 1 and 2. If your car can do that and you can pass a guy like Dale Jr., things are going well for you. And I think we're going to see him probably march his way all the way to the front.
So you got Keselowski driving to the front. Austin Dillon qualified inside the top 5, but has dropped back to 7th. What are they saying in the 33 camp?
Just don't have any drive. I can't go forward. It's like it's just overall grip, man. I'm just kind of sliding out here.
Yeah, there's a lot of that at Texas. You know, this is an abrasive racetrack. It's a track that it really eats up the tires, and it's hard to get a lot of grip on the exit.
How do you compare this track to Las Vegas, Jeff? We saw Austin Dillon being so dominant on that 1.5 miles. He comes here, he was fast yesterday, but he doesn't quite have the car in the race that we saw in Vegas.
Yeah, I compare this track here at Texas. It's sort of halfway between Atlanta and Las Vegas. Las Vegas is a track that you don't have near as much fall off. It's not as abrasive. You're not going to have to search around the racetrack, even though they're all multiple grooves. But Atlanta, that track just eats up the tires. They're good for about 1 lap. Where here, they're good for maybe 4 or 5 laps, and then you'll gradually see them start to lose about tenth and a half every single lap.
I'll tell you who was good at Vegas, Regan Smith. Top 5 so far tonight, Chris.
And Adam, he had a big smile on his face tonight at driver intros. He told me this team just really clicking on all cylinders. He said in practice yesterday they rolled off the truck really strong. They tried a whole bunch of different things in practice and said they never really lost the handle on the car. So he's happy with that car. If anything, says it's a little bit tight.
I'd say Eric Jones is feeling pretty good tonight, too. He spent a lot of time at the front, started on the pole, and I thought he might get the lead there, but couldn't make it work inside of Brian Scott.
No, Brian's doing a great job. He's working traffic here very well, and he's done a great job keeping the car in front there. You can see him wiggle and get pretty loose there on the bottom. It looks like that's why he likes that top groove, but look who's coming. Keselowski just put it up there on the outside and drove right around Eric Jones, and he's probably going to drive right by Brian Scott here around the bottom.
I think that bottom line is the way to go here at Texas. Nobody's better at it than Brad, but Eric Jones was catching our leader on the bottom, but got loose down on the inside, lost his momentum, and got Keselowski on his way.
I really think Eric has the car that can compete with Brad, and we saw that in qualifying, and I think we're going to see that if he can get by Brian here too. And maybe just a little bit of inexperience, being here and not exactly knowing the best way to search different lines to make that pass on Brian Scott. And I think that he's going to learn a lot. He's going to get a big education here, especially racing with these two guys.
Brad Keselowski starts at the rear. 47 laps in, he's got the race lead. Brian Scott, though, has led 26 laps tonight. Looks like he might drop back to that 3rd position, but Vince, they got to be feeling pretty good there.
Yeah, they've been fairly pleased with the car, but right now it's just getting a little bit too tight in the center and loose off. So he's definitely losing some speed there as these tires wear. They're halfway through the fuel run. And then that car just ahead of him, Eric Jones, he's got some handling issues of his own. Says it's just getting too free from entry to center. So everybody at this stage of the run has their hands full a bit with their race cars. Who has the better car at the end of the run might be the difference maker tonight.
Vince brings up a point there. These guys, they're halfway on a fuel run. Brendan Gaughan, Chris Buescher, they're closing on needing to come down pit road because they didn't pit under that last cycle. Not only they need tires, they're going to have to come for fuel, Michael.
And all of these guys are describing exactly what it's like to race at Texas. No grip, I'm sliding everywhere. That's what you have here. We saw third place runner Brian Scott sideways right there again off turn 2. You can see him smoking the right rear. Everybody's battling to try to keep grip of the track.
That's what I love about this racetrack. It's not always the most fun to drive on, but it's certainly fun to watch these guys slipping and sliding around. I guess we've got some radio communication from the 88.
We're about halfway through the fuel run. I don't think the right rear tire can make it. 10-4, we'll pit on the short side.
You know, it's interesting he talks about the rear tires. I mean, we saw Brian Scott really sliding around. I'm curious to see some tire wear maybe after this next set of pit stops and see what's happening on those rear tires, because I mean we're seeing some big fall off and we're seeing some guys really hang the back end out, and it's possible that we're getting into some serious tire wear in the rear.
If Dale Jr.'s right rear tire ain't going to make it, there's no way Brian Scott's will. I mean, he's had that baby smoking, running up in that third spot and hanging on to it, and that's a real concern. We haven't really seen a long run out of these guys. What's that right rear tire doing? You can only abuse it so much.
Regan Smith on the attack, going inside of Brian Scott, the battle for third. You got Chase Elliott waiting in the wings to come through for fourth, and all of this happening behind Brad Keselowski, who 47 laps into this race got the lead, has a 2.1 second advantage over second place Eric Jones. But is there some debris on the front end of that 22?
I don't see it if there is, and I want to tell you what Brad Keselowski's thinking. Y'all got, what else y'all got? I mean, I've driven through you in 40 laps. What else you want me to do?
We need to start him a lap behind the field.
How about 25 consecutive races that 22 cars finished inside the top 10, and they've been dominant here tonight?
Good, just keep an eye on that water. We'll keep watching here and see if we can blow off the top left side of the grill. Top left side of the grill, there's some duct tape, like yellow duct tape. Gauges are white, so it's kind of zipping up. Okay. 10-4, perfect.
So what he's talking about there are the gauges. Now we have these colored gauges where they light up, and you can put warnings on there, so they'll go red if a gauge is getting warm or pressure is getting low. And so he's not complaining about anything. He's pretty happy with it. And you know, the tape is so critical, especially when you go day to night. You want to maximize the aerodynamics on the front of that car, and so these crew chiefs get very aggressive putting the tape on the front of that car. The drivers certainly like the cars. They drive a lot better, and so you know, that's why they got to keep an eye on it. But it looks to me to be clear.
If you're a Blake Cook fan, some disappointment tonight for the 18. They had an issue with their car. They're 14 laps down in 36. You're watching the O'Reilly Auto Parts 300. 60 of 200 laps complete in the NASCAR Xfinity Series event, live from Texas Motor Speedway. Our coverage on Fox Sports 1, presented by Can-Am. Good to have you with us on a Friday night with Michael Waltrip and four-time Sprint Cup Series champion Jeff Gordon. I'm Adam Alexander, and so far it has been the Brad Keselowski show. Started at the rear, drove to the front, and he's in charge right now, Jeff.
There's not a disadvantage that they could have given him at the start of this race to make things equal, but you know, he's doing a great job dicing through traffic here. Erik Jones is holding steady. I mean, I think he's having a little bit more trouble getting through traffic, and we haven't talked a lot about this guy, Denny Hamlin. You know, teammates to Erik Jones. This is a guy that does very well on long runs. We saw him practice. I wouldn't be surprised to see him start to march his way up there.
I thought this run would be just what Denny needed to move from the 11th spot up to the lead. I thought he had a long run car. This is definitely the type of track you expect Denny to do well on. But when you start in the back and race to the front, there's only been one story so far in this race, and that's Brad Keselowski.
And these guys last pitted at lap 18 under caution. Larry at lap 62. So put on your crew chief hat and tell us, what are we thinking in regard to strategy?
Well, I think that window is going to open here in about 8 to 10 laps, somewhere around lap 70. But with the give up that we're seeing with these tires, once one of the leaders hits pit road, it's going to be an outbreak, because you can't sit out there and run 2 or 3 more laps, because you're going to be giving up about 2 seconds a lap to those fresh tires.
Brendan Gaughan, a driver that had to come down pit road under green when they stayed out earlier. He's 1 lap down in the 31st position. Brad Keselowski, the race leader, 63 laps in at Texas. "64 laps in at Texas, under caution for the 3rd time tonight because of debris, and that means the leaders are coming down pit road." Let's go to Chris Neville.
And Regan Smith saying that number 7 car a little bit tight early in the run. After about 25 laps, the balance is good, but late in the run, he said he needs some help with the drive off. Jamie.
Brad Keselowski, it only took him 48 laps to go 37th to first. He's had a small vibration right before the caution came out. He'll be happy to get 4 new tires on there, Vince.
Well, the 9 of Chase Elliott. Chase says he just needs the back end of the car into the track more. Just doesn't have the grip he needs, so they're going to make a chassis adjustment. The 20 of Erik Jones, he said it's actually pretty good, a little bit free on exit. Slight air pressure adjustment for Jones, easily the first one off pit road.
Well, that 20 team doing their job tonight, aren't they?
Great pit stops by the Joe Gibbs Racing team. You can see Denny Hamlin, he gains 3 spots as well.
Brad Keselowski goes a couple in the wrong direction. He'll be 3rd for the restart. We reset the running order when we come back to Texas.
Over Easter break, I went home back to West Virginia and reset it and painted some Easter eggs.
We went to Roatan, Honduras, which is a place we love to go dive.
I was actually at a children's hospital up in Philadelphia. Got to hang out with some kids that were diagnosed with type 1 diabetes.
I went and hung out with some friends who did a little go-karting.
Eat a lot.
Everybody enjoying a little time away during the off weekend, and we hope everybody at home enjoyed their off weekend from NASCAR. But we're back at it tonight, and problems for the championship leader, Ty Dillon, on this cycle of pit stops, Andy.
Yeah, the team of Ty Dillon, they jumped over the wall just a little too soon. The rule is that they can only jump over the wall when the car is within one pit stall away from their own pit. If they're on pit road, before that, the camera system, the pro system, sees it, flags it, and the penalty is starting in the rear.
So a tough break for Ty Dillon, who had battled some tough times throughout the day. Qualified outside the top 15, knew it was going to be some work to get to the front, and was running in the 13th position when they came down pit road. He's going to have to restart 18th here. We'll also follow up on the 7 of Regan Smith, who made a second trip down the pit lane. Eric Jones.
I guess you put scuffs on that first stop, but got stickers on. They think this is going to be a little bit better. He's got the pole to start this, that number 1 starting position. Had a great restart. Now we're going to see what Brad Keselowski and him can do together.
And look at Denny Hamlin.
Where did he come from?
His pit crew put him right in this race. That Gibbs bunch really makes some time on pit road, and Denny's got up to the 3rd spot. We talked about him having a really good long-run car historically in these races.
He's got a great car. He definitely had a great pit stop, but Chase Elliott doing sort of what he did the last time here at this time of year, where he's just slowly but surely making adjustments and making some good moves and getting himself solidly in position to maybe make a run at this thing.
Back behind these guys, you had Austin Dillon battling Dale Earnhardt Jr. for the 6th position. Dillon was able to get that spot, so Dale Jr. now running 7th.
Right rear is definitely wore pretty good, as loose as you were. It doesn't look terrible though, but it is wore out. All right, so I could have ran the top. I went to the bottom just thinking, man, I'm gonna blow the tire out. So I could have stayed up there.
You remember at Phoenix, Dale Jr. blew a right rear tire out. He knows what leaning on one of those things can do, so that's a little bit of history. Him saying, I'm just going to preserve this baby for a bit, and now they've got to read on their...
A bit harder, maybe search around a little bit more, run that outside lane and be okay with it.
And most of the night, we've talked great things about Junior Motorsports. They did have one issue on that last pit stop, though, Chris.
Boy, they sure did. Regan Smith came in the top 5, but you can see right now he's currently 19th. Had to make another stop to pit lane because he felt a big vibration in that car after going back out on the racetrack.
Well, Chase Elliott is running 3rd. That's Regan Smith's teammate, and of course Chase won this race a year ago, but he told me today that he actually took more notes on the fall race when he looked back on the 2 races this week in preparation for this one. He said the speed was so much faster in the fall. He knew the teams were continuing to get better, so even though he had won the race in the spring, he really took more notes in preparing for this race by looking at the fall race, and he said he feels like it helped them get better for this one, as you see Chris Buescher go around Daniel Suarez.
And let's talk about Buescher. We saw the problem earlier in the race. He changed tires on lap 3 when he got into the wall. Didn't take tires on the last caution, barely stayed on the lead lap. This has championship point implications. The team got the caution right when they needed it. They've made some adjustment. This car looks strong. On the other hand, we saw Ty Dillon with some issues with his car not running like he wants to. He hasn't made progress through the field, so this could be a big championship points night for this young man.
And another guy that played strategy on that caution earlier and stayed out, Brendan Gaughan. He had to come down under green, was a lap down. He took the wave around, and he is now back on the lead lap, although he's in a bit of a different cycle with these guys as far as fuel and tires. If they can get a caution, they could be back in the game. Gaughan right now scored in the 20th position.
He certainly doesn't have as many laps on his tires as he had on the last restart.
And you can see Elliott Sadler working the bottom of the racetrack. I think these Xfinity cars, that's the way you want to go. That's the line you want to take. We've certainly seen Brad Keselowski take advantage of running low, and we see Elliott Sadler making his way around Suarez there on the bottom of the racetrack.
It's interesting. We heard a little bit of that conversation about Chase Elliott talking about the difference in speed in the cars from this race, the spring race last year versus the fall. And I was talking to him on pit road today, and we were talking about even the change from the fall And it's amazing, and just the amount of effort that goes into making the aerodynamics better, more downforce, more power, just finding ways to get more grip. And that's what he sort of felt like, what they were battling is just trying to make sure that they're getting everything out of it to be up to the competition, say, of cars like the 22.
Does this race remind you at all of last year? I mean, Chase Elliott started 9th tonight. The recipe for success 1 season ago when he got that first career win. Although right now some company from Darrell Wallace Jr.
I'm impressed with Darrell Wallace Jr. here. A rookie, this is a great run for him.
Well, think back to the truck race last fall. He passed Kyle Busch. He was the fastest truck in the race. He had an engine problem, but man, what a performance and wound up not wrecking your car. You can see the right side is scraped up, but I think they can pit and continue.
Yeah, it's a pretty good chance he got into the wall, and then after he got into the wall, it probably came around on him.
Free pass under our last caution went to the 43 of Dakota Armstrong. And it looks like David Starr, the Texas native, running 22nd, will get the free pass here. So give you a little reset. We're 79 laps into the 200 that make up tonight's O'Reilly Auto Parts 300. Eric Jones, the race leader, started on the pole. He's led 20 laps tonight. Brad Keselowski started last, drove through the field, has been very good this evening. He is in the 2nd position. Chase Elliott won this race 1 year ago, helped him win his first championship at the Xfinity level. He is 3rd. We just talked about Darrell Wallace Jr. making his first Xfinity start here at Texas. He is 4th. Denny Hamlin in the top 5. Austin Dillon, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Brian Scott, Chris Buescher, and Sam Hornish Jr. make up the top 10.
All right, pit road is open now. I don't think these guys are going to come this time. I mean, it's just not been enough laps, and they've got to save those next set of tires.
Maybe in the back, Brendan Gaughan comes and gets some tires, takes a little bit of a risk here.
He's the one that I would put in that possible equation.
And Gaughan's on pit road along with John West Townley.
Here's the reason for the caution. Virginia's own Eric McClure.
An inch and
yep, and he got a piece of the wall as well. We'll be back with more in a moment. It's the NASCAR Xfinity Series, brought to you by Can-Am on Fox Sports 1. Now that is really cool. I mean,
that's where I'm staying.
Of all the highlights, that's got to be a good one. Huh?
I think all of Dallas knows where I'm staying, or Fort Worth.
Racing alongside Chase Elliott there. That's a hard move to make. Bubba's on the bottom digging.
You can see how that car just sort of stalls that outside car just as he gets in the corner. It's amazing the air coming off the nose of that car, dumping air onto the spoiler of the other car, and just pulls them back, and they just kind of go back and forth down the straightaway. He was working hard for that. He didn't complete it, but he was working hard. It was only a matter of time.
So we're just about ready to go back to green. There were 4 drivers on the lead lap that came down and pitted there. John West Townley, Brendan Gaughan, who we had talked about, Dakota Armstrong, and David Starr, who was the recipient of the free pass. Eric Jones will restart as the race leader. Brad Keselowski will restart second. Chase Elliott, Darrell Wallace Jr., Denny Hamlin, Austin Dillon, the front 3 rows.
You know what I love about Eric Jones? We talk about 18 years old, a rookie in this series, but you know, on the starts, he's been solid, didn't spend his able to hold the lead. And also, when he was here in that Truck Series race last year in the summer, he was so loose, he was crashing every lap. He held on to it. He knows how to call for adjustments. His rear end is telling him what that car needs, and he's able to communicate it to his crew chief, Wheels, and make the right adjustments at the right times.
I think we're definitely seeing signs of a very talented young driver there.
Restart happens as we complete lap 83.
Again, a beautiful start by young Jones alongside the Sprint Cup champion, Brad Keselowski on the outside, and right behind him, Xfinity champion Chase Elliott.
Definitely no slouches around him, and they're going to make him work hard for it. And, you know, this is what is so great about this series. When you see a young, talented driver, you know, somebody like Joe Gibbs Racing gives him...
Was the 54.
But then here's another young guy, and Darrell Wallace Jr. says, wait a minute, don't forget about me.
I love that kid. The job he did here last fall in that truck put him on my map, and he has been solid and steady this year in Xfinity, but this is by far the closest he's been to getting up there and challenging for a win.
I thought it was really interesting to see the outside lane work as well as it did around 1 and 2 right there. Really got a lot of momentum that came off the corner, and that's why Eric Jones was, sort of lost that lead because of that momentum.
So a couple of Fords out front. Brad Keselowski, Darrell Wallace Jr. Then it's Eric Jones, who's been so good tonight. Let's crank it up. 85 laps in here at Texas.
Feel of what it's like to be out there in one of these cars.
Well, and you can start to get a sense of what the fans get to feel and hear sitting in these grandstands, and those cars going by at 190 miles per hour is pretty amazing.
You see teammates here, but the one you need to focus on, the 62 of Brendan Gaughan. Got the wave around after he had pitted under green at lap 55. Last time road gets top.
A few lap fresher tires at him, and he's using that for an advantage. He's in a battle for this championship, and he's driving through the field into the top 10. Another kid I want to give a call out to is Brennan Poole. Steady, solid. He's inside the top 20. I like this young man and how he just gets better and better as the races progress.
He was penalized earlier, too.
He was. Yeah, I spoke to Brennan earlier. I didn't know he's from town out in California. We actually raced at the Senate, California. This kid, he really cut his teeth in the quarter midgets and short tracks.
Well, he's done a great job in 3 career starts in the Xfinity Series, was top 10 at Las Vegas, led those laps at Phoenix, and here he is once again, Michael, doing exactly what you described, continuing to get better and better. And, this team now affiliated with Chip Ganassi Racing on the Sprint Cup side. Jamie McMurray in the garage yesterday, just taking some time out of
loose when you get somebody on that left rear quarter panel on the exit, and he's hanging on to it and doing a nice job. But just learning and picking up the pace here in the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, you saw Ryan kind of get to his left rear quarter panel, and when you do that, if you give that guy that space to get your nose up in there, it's definitely going to bring the back end around.
You've seen it up close and personal, haven't you?
Yeah, from both ends.
What about Darrell Wallace Jr., Jamie, continuing to impress? He's a runner-up right now.
Well, Michael, you talked about that truck race that he almost won last November. He told me about that race before he got in the car. He said 2 things about that night. He said, 1, I knew what I needed to win the race in my truck, and number 2, I beat Kyle Busch. That gave him the confidence that he came back here and unloaded yesterday and said they were so good. The car has been on rails. He said he was pumped up and they were confident they could get the win tonight. Now remember, he's a rookie. This is just his 12th start. Maybe he can get it done tonight.
And I came here this weekend, Jamie, kind of thinking that he had the mentality, this place owes me one, because he lost that engine, took him out of an opportunity to win the Truck Series championship. Darrell Wallace Jr. was hungry coming into tonight's race.
And when you run like he did that night, he outran Kyle. And that's something that is very impressive in a truck, at any time, but in a Truck Series race particularly. That put him in a position where he had a lot of confidence, even though he lost his engine. When he left here that night, he said, I took the boss down tonight, and that was important to that young man.
Tell you what else I really like when I watch this. I mean, not only is he searching around the racetrack, doing a great job here, this is a great run for Roush Fenway Racing. They've had a tough season, both Cup and in the Xfinity Series, and they need a good run.
The last time Roush had a car finish inside the top 10 here in the Xfinity Series,
and they used to
was
dominate
2012.
This series.
I mean, it's been a while.
Yeah, and they used to dominate this series. So they need a good run, and Darrell Wallace Jr. certainly giving them that tonight.
What about our man Austin Dillon? We talked about how dominant he was at Vegas. You talked, Jeff, how this track has some similarities to Las Vegas. He's driven inside the top 5 now, passing Chase Elliott, and now, Vince, looks like that car's strong.
It is indeed, Michael. In fact, Nick Harrison, the crew chief, had told Austin Dillon that the leaders keep backing up to you. We need a longer run. So the longer this goes on, the better the 33 car becomes. Certainly in comparison to those in front of him, as we saw him make that pass on the 9 of Chase Elliott. And as you said, a dominating performance at Vegas, but he's got 3 top 5s in 4 previous Xfinity starts. So this team has been stout from beginning to end this season.
And Austin Dillon has won 3 races in his career. They've all been at 1.5-mile tracks. He loves these places.
Another fun story is Brendan Gaughan. He's coming, y'all, making his way toward Brad Keselowski.
I'd say he'll be in the top 5 when we come back. In fact, he might be in the top 5 before we go to break, because there he goes inside of Chase Elliott. Brendan Gaughan with quite a comeback. Everybody chasing Brad Keselowski. He's out front as we close on halfway at Texas Motor Speedway. You see Brad Keselowski out front, and that footage coverage of our aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything they learned making tires for the grueling demands of NASCAR inspires what rolls into yours. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. So Brad Keselowski leads. Darrell Wallace Jr. is second. Eric Jones is third. Austin Dillon, Brendan Gaughan doing battle for the fourth spot. And what a comeback for that 62 team.
Yeah, he has fresher tires. Maybe 6-8 laps of green flag racing less on Brendan's tires, and that just tells you how much of an advantage that's given him. Chris, what are they saying down there? They got to be happy about this run.
Well, I just checked in with Shane Wilson. He does have a big smile on his face because they were all off sequence that first 50 laps, and we saw Brendan Gaughan fade back to almost 20th or so, and he came in a bit early when he was off sequence, and that was because he had a tire going down. But now back on sequence, he's got fresher tires, and I did check with Shane, and he said they have 3 brand new sets of tires down there for later in this race.
Yeah, they're in excellent shape when it comes to tires, and obviously he's got a pretty good car here too. I mean, you know, even though he has fresher tires than some of these guys he's racing with, it's not a lot, and at this place it will start to even out as you get, you know, into this stage of a run. So I think he's got a nice run going here that could pay off for him all the way to the finish.
Well, let's give some credit here too to the crew chief Shane Wilson, because Shane was on the box with Brendan when he won those 4 consecutive truck races that we've talked about tonight. But he also was here with Kevin Harvick, who won twice in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Shane had to make that call to get the wave around, and I know that doesn't always work out, but it was a good call. It's paid off, and now here they find themselves inside the top 5 in front of a couple of cars that were strong early, Dale Jr. and Chase Elliott racing for the 6th position.
These guys seem to be going back and forth. You know, again, that outside lane Jr., it just seems like it's not consistent. He's having a tough time kind of making it work for the whole time, but right now he's got it working for him again.
Look who else has got it working. There's Chris Buescher. A couple of guys coming.
Look at Eric Jones around the lap machine of Blake Cook trying to get back around Darrell Wallace Jr. The battle for second on track. It's 3 seconds behind race leader Brad Keselowski. We'll step aside. 107 of 200 complete tonight here at Texas. It's the NASCAR Xfinity Series on Fox Sports 1. There's a look at the top 5 in tonight's O'Reilly Auto Parts 300 from Texas Motor Speedway. Brad Keselowski has now led more laps than anyone else. He's been out front for 49 tonight. And while we were away, we saw one car come down pit road under green. When can we expect everyone else, Larry?
Well, I think, like I said earlier, right before we got into what would have been green flag stops, Adam, once one of the leaders hits pit road, the others will not be far behind. But based on them pitting at lap 65 and 8 caution laps since then, I'm saying somewhere about lap 120. I think that's when it'll open, and I think we'll see all the leaders on pit road just right together.
Well, I'll tell you this, you can watch for Austin Dillon to be the leader of the race. He's beating him a second and a half a lap on those fresh tires. These leaders will need to get to pit road, Larry, because he's making some serious time right now.
When will Brad Keselowski come to pit road?
Okay. And we think anyone can make it? So nobody, I mean, it's really, other than the fact if it goes green the rest of the way. I guess he's saying, you know, the 18's on back, if they only have to stop once and we got to stop twice, I guess what I'm saying. I think he's trying to get at.
What are we looking at, 65, 67 laps?
Boy, I wouldn't think the window's quite that long, so.
Well, they're talking that maybe the 33 made it a 2-stop race, stopped short, going to take advantage of those tires, and they're making a decision on what they're going to do based on the 33. Vince, is that the plan?
Yeah, they definitely were going to come in. That was a strategy move for sure, to come in short pit. Also, the car was very tight for Austin Dillon. The right front did show a little excessive wear, some very light cording on that right front. But more than anything, it was a strategy move for the 33, but they'll still have to come again.
Yeah, they just wanted to split it up, you know, get the most out of the tires and the fuel, and you know, hope that gives them the best speed for you know, from now all the way to the end of the race, because they know they're going to have to come in again.
I love the strategy move by Shane Wilson. You got to gamble. You got to take a chance. He left old Brendan Gaughan out there on those old tires earlier, and Brendan literally ran the tires off of it. Blew a tire, had to come to the pits, and now look at him driving into the top 5, up to 3rd around Bubba Wallace, chasing down Brad Keselowski and making better time. Been catching Brad Keselowski.
And I'll tell you someone who's done a nice job of battling back, Regan Smith. They were 19th, but here they are closing on the top 10 and on pit road, Chris.
Yeah, boy, what a charge for Regan Smith after they had that loose left rear wheel. He's been pretty quiet on the radio, but right before that last pit stop, he said he's just a little bit tight in the center of the corner.
You know, this is just always the time when I'm looking for action, because, you know, when you start to get into these green flag stops, you've got to attack to get to pit road. It's a slick pit road. There's a lot of mistakes that can be made, especially by some of the less experienced drivers. And then it's so crucial what happens on pit road, because you can lose so much time. You can't afford to have any mistakes happen on pit road under a green flag stop.
And now the whole world's watching. We've got the Hawkeye system. You're not going to pull off anything without somebody catching you.
Here's Brian Scott, Vince.
Yeah, just needs more drive off, and just doesn't have the rear grip that he needs. They've been working on that throughout the course of the night to try to get it better. It's an air pressure adjustment, chassis adjustment, and 4 tires. Chris?
Well, we can see Dale Jr. coming in. He was running right at the front in the first 50 laps, but he just hasn't been happy with the adjustments all night, so they're going to go back the other direction. He said, we're just tightening the car up in the wrong spots. Jamie.
And Denny Hamlin has just been tight from the center off all night. They've been adjusting with the track bar, and you see it again. They're going to make that change again. He's good for about 10 laps, and then it starts to go away and get tight once again. As more cars make their way down pit road, you watch the leader. He'll come in about 4 laps. Meanwhile, Ty Dillon, they've been working on this car, just haven't been right since they unloaded on Thursday, trying to go in the right direction, help him out with 4 tires there, and the 20 is in, Vince.
Jones coming in, they reminded him, do not speed, get into the box cleanly. The car's pretty good. He said it's just a little bit free, so they're going to make a slight air pressure adjustment to try to give him a little bit more stability, but otherwise no complaints for the 20 of Eric Jones. Clean stop. Jamie.
And Brad Keselowski looking around, realizing everybody's pitting. They better come a little sooner than they had planned. He said he started feeling the right front, so he wanted to come in and get these fresh sticker tires. Another couple of sets in here on the ground. They'll fill him up with Sunoco fuel, looking for his first win this season. Chris?
And Brendan Gaughan making his way out of his pit box right now. Just check the track temp. It's cooled down 11 degrees. He said the track is freeing up. That 62 car is just a little bit loose.
So right of your screen, Brendan Gaughan exiting the pit lane. Darrell Wallace Jr. in this cycle of green flag pit stops has taken over the race lead. The man that won this race a season ago, Chase Elliott on pit road at lap 122. He's headed your way, Vince.
Yeah, they just have not been very happy with this race car. Certainly have not found the sweet spot with the 9 throughout the course of the night. Have been fighting the balance issue. The car's just been too loose. Haven't been able to get it in the track the way they want. He says it's very edgy feeling. They're going to make a chassis adjustment. It's a 4-tire change for Chase Elliott. Jamie?
Daniel Suarez doing a nice job tonight in the 18, saying he's tight. They've been talking him through it, telling him there's a chassis adjustment, but telling him to arc his centers, roll the corner better. You saw the 6 of Darrell Wallace Jr. just pull around the 18. He is in his pit box. He said he wants an adjustment. There it is, a little track bar to help the feel of this 6 car. He's been good tonight, but the handling went away. 4 tires here. Fill him up with Sunoco fuel. Nice stop.
So we are closing through here the end of a cycle of green flag pit stops. Dakota Armstrong leads. He is not pitted. Neither is John West Townley, who is second. And look who is now in the 3rd position. Not Brad Keselowski, who had an advantage of nearly 4 seconds when this cycle began, but Austin Dillon, as we talked about, playing that strategy game.
He just took advantage of getting to pit road sooner than everybody else, threw him a bit of a curveball. He's going to have to pit again. We know that. But he's used those fresh tires to gain an advantage and lead this race.
Yeah, it's always risky coming in that early. You could go a lap down or more, and but it's a risk that's paying off for them right now.
Sometimes you got to play some games to get to the front. Great call by Nick Harrison. Austin Dillon going to be the leader when things cycle through here at Texas.
Tomorrow, Fox Sports 1 kicks off our year-long coverage with a doubleheader as the Red Sox take on the Yankees in the Bronx at 12:30 p.m. Eastern, followed by a playoff rematch as the Royals battle Mike Trout and the Angels at 9 p.m. Eastern. Coverage begins tomorrow on America's home for baseball every Saturday, Fox Sports 1, and as always, streaming live at Fox Sports Go. We're under caution at Texas Motor Speedway, lap 129 of 200. Some grass being kicked up from the infield. That's why we're under yellow, just as green flag pit stops got cycled through. AA up in the booth. That makes for an interesting dynamic here as the field gets shuffled and tries to reset with 71 laps to go.
And there you see some damage from Ryan Sieg's car. He's the reason that grass got kicked up on the front straightaway. And Danielle, there are going to be some interesting things, I think, that unfold down the stretch. One, Dakota Armstrong is the race leader. He's yet to pit under what was a cycle of green flag pit stops. He'll have the opportunity to come down under caution. Then it becomes what wins out. Is it Austin Dillon in the game they played because he'll inherit the lead, or where does Brad Keselowski go from here?
It's interesting with the limited amount of tires you can put on the Xfinity Series. Those crew chiefs' brains are working overtime. We got to figure out, do we bring Austin Dillon back to pit road? He's got a lot of laps on his tires. We know he's sitting duck for the guys with the fresher tires when we go back racing. So what strategy does Dillon decide to play?
Yeah, I think, they pretty much they took that risk, and they're going to have to go down that path a little bit longer. I think that right now, coming in and getting tires is probably not going to work out very well for them. Because it's just one of those things where they went down there and then they got the tires and it paid off for them. But now what's going to happen? Now they're on even level with the rest of the field. But I don't know. I think that was probably not what they wanted to see with that caution.
When there's a couple of great stories, Chris Buescher and Brendan Gaughan, they elected to stay out on that one caution, and both of them have raced back into contention, and both of them are racing for a championship.
And here's what's interesting: we saw who was good on the short run early because we had some cautions early in this race. Now we go through the middle stages, had that long green flag run, the cycle of green flag pit stops. We've kind of gotten an idea of who can handle it on the long haul. 70 laps to go, and it'll be interesting to see how this thing plays out because history shows long green flag runs at Texas already. 5 cautions so far here tonight.
Well, 70 laps to go. That's a lot of laps, and I'm not sure how many more sets that the 33 has.
He's coming.
But they're coming.
Yeah, he's got to get those tires. But like you said, Jeff, here comes Brad Keselowski with him. So he's going to be on the same playing field as Brad Keselowski on tires.
Here they come, Jamie.
And Brad Keselowski did not want to pit. This is what happened. His car was running really cool before the stop, so they added that piece of tape right there, that bright orange piece of tape, and then he went out and collected some of that grass. He was running too hot. They had to come in and wipe the grill, Vince.
Well, the 33 of Austin Dillon crew chief Nick Harrison said we've got 7-lap older tires. I'm afraid you're going to get eaten up on this restart, so you're going to have to come in. We've got 2 sets. They put a fresh set on. They got another one left on the ground. The 9 has come as well. Chase Elliott coming to get fuel.
Some of the guys saved their tires. Keselowski didn't put them on. So another gamble for Nick Harrison in that 33 car.
Isn't it nice when you get some of the big players dropping back? That means they've got to drive through the field again.
there. The 7th floor with me or what happened? He didn't touch you. Stand here, stay square, stay square. Looks like you just spun your tires on the start. We got the wall, guys. Tire go down, bud? I think so. I couldn't control it. We got the wall. Feels okay. Just don't want to get a tire down. I hit it pretty good.
It's been a fun Friday night for the NASCAR Xfinity Series here at Texas Motor Speedway with Michael Waltrip and 4-time Sprint Cup Series champion Jeff Gordon. I'm Adam Alexander, and you know, the subject came up today in our production meeting.
What the heck?
How do the stats
Michael, I had
balance
nothing to do with this.
between Jeff and Michael?
You know,
and so the guys put the numbers together for us.
I might have gotten beat more by Jeff Gordon than anyone else has in NASCAR. I think that record could be pretty impressive. But look how many times I beat him.
You're the top in your field.
573. You know?
Right. Some of those were real battles too.
How about we go here? These two drivers have combined to win 5 Daytona 500. That sounds a lot better, doesn't it?
I like that.
Thank you, Adam. I think you're responsible for pulling up that kind of information, and I think Jimmy and Russell had that stat about how many times Jeff beat me.
Yeah. That's good. So before we get our restart, let's go ahead with a Can-Am race summary here at Texas. It has been an eventful night. Eric Jones started on the pole. He leads right now. 17 cars are on the lead lap as we set up for the restart. 12 lead changes among 7 different drivers. We're under our 5th caution of the night. And Brad Keselowski, who started at the rear, drove to the front, has led 56 laps, and he will restart in the 9th position here. And Dale Jr.'s led laps tonight. He will restart 2nd.
I'd say that, that 22's got both them dog ears. He's running pretty good, but I've seen some cars with dog ears run bad today, so I really don't know that that's got anything to do with it.
Yeah, we still got a little bit of learning to do on that, get it figured out.
So it sounds to me like the 22 has both ears on the back on their spoiler, which is an option that you have in the Xfinity Series, to run both of them. Some guys think that maybe that left side's not that effective and just causes more drag and maybe can pull you back if you're side-by-side side drafting. But the 22, obviously the class of the field, has both of them.
Yeah, and that 33 car lined up on the outside of the 22, he's got fresher tires, and it's going to be so fun to watch him race through this field. We saw what Brendan Gaughan was able to do with those tires, and we'll be able to see the same thing with the 33. This is gambling. I love it. Nick Harrison's that kind of guy. He's put Austin Dillon on a strategy that no one else is on. If the caution doesn't fly, he's going to win the race. If we have one caution that comes at the right time, he can still be a contender, but he's got a strategy different than the rest, and I like that.
Yeah, and I was obviously very wrong on the strategy, and that's why I guess I've always been a driver instead of a crew chief.
Somewhere Alan Gustafson is laughing tonight, right?
He's so laughing. I'll tell you why he's laughing, because he's like, wait a minute, you always want tires.
So tonight we're under the lights, and that's magic when it comes to Texas Motor Speedway, but I think it's going to be pretty good next weekend for the Xfinity Series as well.
Yeah, I'm
Next week, the young guns of the Xfinity Series head to the hills of Tennessee as the Coliseum of Racing awaits them. It's going to be a lot of bumping and banging, but someone will come out on top. Find out next week on Fox Sports 1.
And when we get there, Jeff, your rookie stripe will be gone. You'll be with us again next week.
I'm not so sure about that. It might need to go on there for a few races, but I'm having a great time here tonight. This race has been fantastic, and I know that there's another one coming next weekend.
Brad Keselowski be with us in Richmond, and then Jeff's back with us at Talladega. You can watch that race in a few weeks' time on Fox on a Saturday afternoon in Central Alabama.
We talked before the race started about how this track was going to change. The temperature on the track obviously has gone down. There's more rubber on the track than ever. So these guys are fighting through some handling characteristics that are different than they were at the start. And the car that I'm going to be interested to watch here on this restart, Jeff, is Dale Jr. We saw him up front early. He faded somewhat. Now he's back up on that front row alongside his buddy Eric Jones. We'll see if he can hang there with him.
Well, what's interesting is when the track temperature goes down, it seems to start making the fronts tires turn a little bit better, and you have to kind of keep up with that and keep the car tight. And Junior was talking about being tight in but loose off. So I'm just hoping, or curious to know if they've been able to make an adjustment that can sort of get that exit that he needs, but maybe with the cooler track temperature, get the front to cut a little bit better.
What do you see here, Larry? Restart with 63 to go.
Well, I've got my calculator smoking down here, and these drivers that just pitted at lap 131, that's 69 laps to go. Now, remember the fuel window that we give you, that 55 to 58 laps, that's based on a very quick pace, like what they ran in practice. So I'm sitting here, and I'm not going to put out of the realm of possibility, should we stay green, that drivers like Austin Dillon, Ty Dillon, some drivers like that, Chase Elliott, that pitted, even Keselowski dumping the fuel in that 22 car, that we might have one laying out there in the weeds that's going to try to go to the end if we do not have a caution.
Well, and I look at Keselowski and Dillon, Austin Dillon. They're Sprint Cup regulars. They're not running for points. Now, I understand there's an owner's championship here, but if anybody is in a position to roll the dice and gamble and go after the victory, certainly they're capable of doing that.
Yeah, and that was another area that I missed. Is they were risky, and they made that call, and they're just continuing down the path of being risky, and why not? They have nothing to lose.
Restart comes with 63 laps remaining. Eric Jones, Dale Jr. up front here at Texas.
Been really impressed with Jones on these starts. He's able to roll off, doesn't spin his tires, gets a bit of an advantage over Dale Jr. into one, but on that outside, Jr. rolls in there hard.
Yeah, and we talked about this earlier, how that outside lane, they got momentum and were able to clear him on the last restart. I was thinking that he might think about, taking that inside lane.
How about Regan Smith?
Outside lane.
Had those problems earlier on pit road, loose wheel, had to come back down. Here he is third, Michael.
What about Buescher into the outside wall? We talked about the recovery he's made. There's so many great stories up near the front of this race. Brendan Gaughan with some strategy early in the going. Austin Dillon on those fresh tires. He's going to be hard to hold right here. See him there on the outside of teammate Brendan Gaughan and gaining on Denny Hamlin.
We just haven't seen the performance out of Denny. He's really struggled tonight. They were talking about being real tight, and they obviously have not gotten that car to turn better tonight, and still struggling even on this restart.
Brad Keselowski restarted inside the top 10, was back in the 9th spot. He's starting to make up some ground. You're on board here with Darrell Wallace Jr. and his teammate Elliott Sadler squeezing to the outside.
If you don't think it gets tight at 190 miles per hour on that front straightaway, what they call a double dogleg front straightaway, that showed you right there just how dicey it gets, just even on the straightaway.
Ty Dillon in the top 10. Haven't said that tonight.
That's a great story as well. He's been mired back in the second half of the top 20, and now he's been able to make some progress racing for a championship.
That's good right there. Chase Elliott inside of Elliott Sadler. It's right behind Ty Dillon. Brad Keselowski continues his drive.
We talked earlier about Brad having to come all the way from the back of the field, and it gets harder as you get to the front. He's got a little bit fresher tire. Well, I guess he just took fuel on that last one, so he doesn't really have tires. So we're going to really find out just how much better he is and that car is as he tries to make his way back to the front.
Look at the run by Darrell Wallace Jr. around the outside of Ty Dillon. A couple of guys that are battling for this Xfinity championship. Along with Elliott Sadler. He's joined that run as well. You can see Chase Elliott back there.
I love watching this view right here because you really truly see this racetrack, how distinct the bottom, the middle, and the top grooves are. You see the momentum come off the corner from that top groove, but you see how the bottom, if you can put it the left sides right down that white line, how you can just hug that corner and make up a lot of time and distance through the corner.
Battle for the race lead. Dale Earnhardt Jr. working outside of Eric Jones.
We've seen this before, haven't we? It's just been a while.
And you know what? Dale Earnhardt Jr., 23 career victories in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. He's never won driving one of his own cars at Junior Motorsports, and only one career victory on a 1.5-mile track, and that was his first career win here back in 1998.
The one thing that I see is holding Eric back here a little bit. His car is really good. He's better, but he's stuck on the bottom. If every time he catches Junior runs the car down right to the bottom in front of him and blocks him, and he seems to lose a little bit of time. I think that Eric, it'd be nice and maybe his car just doesn't allow him to do this. If you could see him maybe search around and just find that clean air and find some options. Here he goes. As soon as we mention it, he goes to the top and changes it up, and I wouldn't be surprised if you see him get the lead now.
Look at that big run. He gets momentum off the turn because of that run around the high side. He took your advice, Jeff, tried it in a different lane, and now he's going to close the deal or attempt to on the bottom of the racetrack.
I didn't doubt him. I was just wondering if he was going to do it, so that was a great move.
A little bit of a wiggle there.
Oh, but Junior, we might want to listen to some radio communication here, because this is no longer lap 16, but definitely a lot of hard racing between Dale Jr. and Eric Jones. And I really think this is out of respect. I think Junior wants to see what he's made of. Not only that, but he wants to win the race.
And I got to believe, to your point, Dale's got to be hungry. I mean, he knows what Kevin Harvick has done in this thing 2 of the first 5 weeks out of the year. He'd like to get his own trophy for the 88 month.
Oh, absolutely. He takes a lot of pride in this being his own team, but he puts a lot of pressure on himself, knowing how successful that car's been with other drivers in there, especially Kevin.
Well, this is just a matter of time. If Jones doesn't get loose down on the bottom and wreck them both, I believe he's got a faster car. He's going to make this move. But down on the bottom, if Dale Jr. pinches him a little bit, this track, we talked about how you slip and slide. It can get away from you in a hurry.
Well, unfortunately, Eric showed him that outside groove and almost made it work. I really thought if he got to the inside of him down in 1 and 2, he'd be able to complete it. And then when he didn't complete it, now Junior's got that outside lane working for himself.
And this battle for the lead is allowing some other guys to try to join them. You see just back there in the red cars, Regan Smith, Austin Dillon with those fresher tires is running fourth, probably trying to save just a little bit of gas so he's comfortable and making it to the finish if we don't get a caution flag, because he's the only car, he and Brad, that I think can be contenders and can make it. And there goes Eric to the high side again. Look at that run he makes. Dale Jr. shuts the door.
And is this Eric Jones obviously wants to lead?
Set him up here.
A little bit of frustration right there. You saw Eric just getting the bumper of Dale Jr. let him know, hey man, I'm faster than you. I sure would like to get this lead.
This is tough racing right here. Dale Jr.'s wanting the lead, showing everybody how bad he wants to win this race. And Eric Jones is saying, I'm faster, man, get out of the way. Watch this little bump here.
Yeah, and basically, you've got the momentum, you're going, down the back straightaway, you get the draft, and you're basically saying, hey, how hard are you going to race me here? And Dale Jr.'s basically probably waving out the window saying, I'm going to race you really hard.
And I admire the swagger, attitude, and approach of Eric Jones, 18 years old, first start at this track, and he said, I don't care what your name is, what your resume is, I absolutely am not backing down. 51 laps remaining here at Texas. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Eric Jones, Regan Smith, Austin Dillon, Brad Keselowski, the top 5 at Texas Motor Speedway. There is a new man in charge at Texas Motor Speedway in the O'Reilly Auto Parts 300 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Eric Jones able to get around Dale Earnhardt Jr. while we were away. Let's go back and look at the pass for the lead. It is our Hisense move of the race.
So far, it was a strong move. We watched Eric Jones continue to work the bottom to try to make the move on Dale Jr. Jeff told him to go high. He tried that. It didn't work. He just continued to be dedicated to the bottom and watch this move in turns 1 and 2.
I think he learned a little bit the last time he got inside of Junior. Plus, he was a little bit further ahead, but he just hooked that white line, was able to get back in the throttle and just squeeze in front of Dale Jr.
I mean, that's hard. I mean, that car wants to get sideways. It wants to be loose when you pin it down to the bottom of the racetrack. What a great move by that young man.
And that's a time when you want to be, you need to be really patient, and it's hard to be patient. You want to jump in that gas really early, but you want to finish the throttle. Once you go to the throttle, you want to get wide open and keep it wide open. And if you get to that throttle too early, a lot of times you'll have to back out as you get to the exit. He was able to finish it.
There's a couple of stories lurking behind our 2 leaders. That's Brad Keselowski and Austin Dillon. Both those guys were on pit road. And I think Dillon, he's got the fresher tires. He's not charging, maybe just saving a little bit of fuel. Brad Keselowski looks like he's throwing caution to the wind, thinks he can make it on his gas, is running down our 2 leaders. So if the caution flies, look for everybody to come to pit road, but if it doesn't, Keselowski and Dillon might be in the driver's seat. And you know what I love about Keselowski? He's good, but he's on older tires.
Yeah.
His tire has more wear than anyone else's, yet he's able to run the same laps as lap times as the leader.
Well, I think better, actually. I mean, the last couple times he's been a tenth or 2 better. That time maybe not quite a whole tenth, but yeah, that car's been so strong all night long. So it's no surprise that even on older tires, he's able to to run these guys down.
What's going on with Dale Jr., Chris?
Well, Adam, we know in the first half of this race, the team just going the wrong direction with all their adjustments. On that last pit stop, Dale Jr. said the car was pretty good after about 10 to 15 laps, but now that car just getting a little bit too loose. Jamie?
Greg Irwin, the crew chief for Brad Keselowski, just told him, we're good on fuel. Go ahead and go for it. And he just radioed in, my car is good. I am happy right here. So don't count the 22 out just yet, Vince.
Well, the 33 of Austin Dillon is not going to be able to make it to the end. I just spoke with crew chief Nick Harrison a moment ago. He said we're going to have to come again. They do have an extra set of tires still on the floor, but they're going to have to come for fuel before the end of the race if this one stays green.
Now that's so interesting to me because you hear Jamie's report on Brad, no brainer. He can go the distance. Vince talks about Austin Dillon. He can't make it. They both pitted at lap 131. Something tells me there's going to be some interesting strategies down the stretch here if we stay green.
Well, we've certainly seen Brad be very aggressive on fuel management in the past. I'm just wondering if the 33 didn't get it full on that last stop.
Well, and you also have to wonder about Nick Harrison. Is he telling us the whole story?
Yes.
Maybe he's wanting everybody to think that he is coming back to pit road, but he has those fresher tires. He's been able to keep pace pretty much with Brad K. Maybe just keeping him within his sights.
I don't know what you're talking about. A crew chief not being completely honest.
Poker.
Yes.
Eric Jones working through lap traffic. His advantage last time around in front of Dale Earnhardt Jr. right about a half a second. And here comes Brad Keselowski.
Look at that line Dale Jr.'s running. I love that. He's right out next to the wall, and he's beginning to close back in on Eric Jones. These two have been battling all night, and he's running them back down.
We've had some first-time winners when it comes to Texas Motor Speedway. Most recently, 1 year ago for Chase Elliott. Could it be Eric Jones doing it here tonight?
You're watching Fox Sports 1, NASCAR.
33 laps to go at Texas, and
Brendan
caution
Gaughan
is out. Yeah, Brendan Gaughan, one of those, and also the 14 of Cale Conley, the reason for the caution here with 32 to go.
Big hit by the 62 in the inside wall.
Big hit in the points for that team, too. Brendan was running in the 12th spot. We talked about what a night he was having, overcoming a lot of problems, but that car's tore up, and he was in the top 5 in the championship standings prior to that crash.
He got the right side and the left side, so something happened over here on the right side that kind of flattened the right side that obviously turned it down into the inside wall.
Well, we've talked what a great track this has been for him, but just go back to our last 3 races, the West Coast Swing. They were so impressive, finishing inside the top 10 each and every week, and there you see the heavy damage for the rookie Cale Conley for TriStar Motorsports.
Pretty sure those two made contact.
Let's see if we can tell what happened. You can see back in this area of the track, they're racing. And look at that.
14 blew a right front tire.
So unfortunate.
Bad timing for Brendan Gaughan, unfortunately. That was a big hit by both of those guys.
We haven't seen any tire trouble all night long. We heard of a little bit of wear, but that wasn't that long of a run. Larry McReynolds, we're talking about tire wear, and we're talking about who's got the freshest tires, who's got gas. All that pretty much goes out the window now, don't you think? They're coming down and getting some tires?
No question. Everybody will be on pit road for 4 fresh Goodyear tires, top it off with fuel. But this caution, if you realistically look at it, huge break for Eric Jones, Dale Earnhardt Jr. A lot of the drivers that did not come to pit road when that caution was at lap 127, because like Eric Jones and Dale Earnhardt Jr., they were within about 8 to 10 laps of having to make their green flag stop.
Brennan Poole, the first car 1 lap down, scored in the 17th position. He will get the free pass.
That climbing the fence was not the celebration that Brendan Gaughan was looking for. That was just trying to get his way out of that car, and he made his way out. And
yeah, I noticed he was up against that inside wall, and I saw him throw the window net out, and it landed on the wall, and I said, this is going to be really interesting trying to get out of this car.
What about the pit crews now? We've seen the 20 car of Eric Jones have some amazing stops. Brad Keselowski looks like he might have the fastest car, but he's going to have to deal with that Jones car.
This is where that #1 pit stall, winning the pole earlier, could be huge for Eric Jones in that 20 team.
I say he beats him off pit road. The question is, where's he going to line up on the restart?
Good question. So the pit stops will come with 30 laps to go. And now the guys that go over the wall with their chance to shine. Chris, you're up first.
Well, the 88 crew asked Dale if he was still too loose. The car pretty good on a short run. Dale Earnhardt responded, heck yeah, way too loose. So they're going to try and tighten him up. Jamie.
Brad Keselowski has led a race high 56 laps, says the car is good. Got a little bit loose there, but they want 4 sticker tires here. That'll leave 1 set on the ground and only 1 can of fuel, Vince.
The 33 of Austin Dillon is just too tight across the front end. They can't get the speed they need to get up there to win this race. So they're going to make some chassis adjustments to try to help out the 33. The 20 of Eric Jones, no adjustments needed. He says this car is good. The crew has been great. And that first pit stall has been gold.
They blew him away coming off the pit lane this time. And a big move for Regan Smith. The 7 gets 4 tires, gains 2 positions. And Austin Dillon falling 2 spots. We'll reset the running order when we come back. We can tell you Eric Jones will be out front.
Under caution at Texas Motor Speedway, just 28 laps to go. If everything's bigger in Texas, a big battle brewing between Eric Jones and Brad Keselowski. If you're just joining us, let's get you caught up with the race recap. The first night race of the season, it starts with a caution. Chris Buescher bumps into the wall off turn 2, but he slowly would make his back way into the top 10 after dropping as low as 39th. And Larry, Brad Keselowski, he started in the rear and came to the front fast.
Yeah, qualified second, but had to go to the rear because of unapproved adjustments. He took the lead, though, 48 laps into this race.
Brad Keselowski has a fast car. Down the stretch, he will be battling with Eric Jones in the 20 car. No doubt your pole sitter for the second straight week, Larry.
Only his 9th career start. 2 consecutive poles, and he's coming on the heels of 2 consecutive top 5 finishes.
And there you see the pass on Dale Earnhardt Jr., the teenager. The young gun Eric Jones for Joe Gibbs Racing has been out in front for 50 laps, Adam. And we just had a battle off pit road. Eric Jones just edging out Brad Keselowski. We cannot wait to see how this unfolds.
Yeah, Danielle, you look at Eric Jones. He started on the pole. He leads the race. It has been an eventful night for him, but not nearly as eventful as Brad Keselowski, who's had to drop back a couple of times, drive through the field. Regan Smith, who had an issue. Chris Buescher. There are some guys in the top 5 that have flat earned their money tonight.
They absolutely have. And thank goodness for us that Brad Keselowski's had a few things that he's had to overcome. But I think now the best 2 cars are starting on the front row here for this final, well, what could possibly be the final restart. And I'm looking forward to these 2 going to battle because, you know, I think obviously Brad seems to have the superior car, but the only one that seems to be able to keep up with him is Eric Jones.
And Eric Jones has had some great restarts. He's been able to drive down into turn 1 on the inside and hold the lead down there. But I think the most interesting thing is how long he had to mess with Dale Jr. before he was able to pass him. There's not that much time left. He's going to have to get around Keselowski here on this start, and that'll be his best chance to win. I don't think he's going to be able to pass Brad back if Brad gets the lead.
Now, I got to say, I think if he loses the lead on this one, I think he's going to regret choosing that inside lane. You know, we've seen that outside lane be the way to go, and it could just be his car just doesn't work very well in that higher groove on the restarts. But with Brad Keselowski out there, this one's going to be tough.
The action's fixing to pick up. Dale Jr. is going to be right on the back of Keselowski. Regan Smith's thinking, I got to win this race, and then you see Austin Dillon there as well. So patience is out the window. We got to go.
And Ty Dillon, our championship leader, restarting 7th, about as high as he's been in the running order all night long. The restart will come with 26 laps to go. The control car inside, race leader Eric Jones outside, Brad Keselowski, green once again at Texas.
Brad getting a great push from Dale Jr. from behind. Actually, Eric got a great start, but this push I think is very possibly going to get Brad Keselowski this lead off of turn 2 on the back straightaway.
What a strong run off 2 by young Jones. He made a good move. Tried to go up in front of Keselowski, not quite able to do so. Look at him battling behind him.
He's
Regan
fighting
Smith
for it, that's
is there.
for sure.
Chris Buescher in the mix. Austin Dillon. Power move outside off of turn 4. Here comes Brad Keselowski for the race lead.
Give it to Jones that time by with Dale Jr. pushing Keselowski.
At the line by 2/100ths of a second. It was Eric Jones out in front of Brad Keselowski.
You can see the car bottom out through those bumps through 1 and 2. There's a huge bump over the tunnel down there in 1 and 2.
Eric Jones
nice.
out front. Race lead for the youngster.
He
That's
closed
exciting.
the deal on the bottom. Jeff, that's so hard to do. What an amazing restart by Eric Jones.
I love seeing this, you know, seeing a young guy being that aggressive, going for it, sparks flying, racing against, you know, one of the arguably the best in this series, Brad Keselowski, and who's been the best car all night. This that was a power move.
You're talking about 2 drivers that have won here in Keselowski and Earnhardt. Both have won series championships, but Jones at 18 years old, first time he's been here in an Xfinity car, drives it to the inside and takes the lead.
I think he's shaking Keselowski a little bit right there because Brad, you know, basically had this race under control. When he didn't complete that pass right there, you saw Keselowski go down the next corner. Junior was pressuring him, and you saw him bobble for the first time all night.
He's driving that thing for all it's worth, and Jones is driving away. Talked about Eric having to get that lead on the restart. He was able to do so. Now it'll be interesting to see. You talked earlier, Jeff, you've got to move around. You got to find where your car's wanting to work. Those 2 guys behind Eric Jones aren't shy about doing that. They're going to be all over this track trying to figure out how to close ground on that young rookie that's currently putting them away.
And as much as you want to focus out the windshield, and focus on your line and everything you need to do to make good solid laps, this is where a really good spotter comes in, and that mirror can be your best friend right now.
Talk about championship implications. Chase Elliott came in 15 points behind Ty Dillon, and right now they're 9th and 10th on track. Elliott trying to gain a point.
And you can see Sadler's all over the back of Dillon. It's a good battle there, and they're both closing in on Chase Elliott. You know, we talked about it's time to go. Action's got to pick up. 6 of the top 7 cars ran their fastest laps just 2 laps ago.
Yeah, those track temps coming down, new tires, time to go. All those ingredients come together, and now you really have to push everything that the car has. Plus, there's not a lot of laps left, so you don't really care about what the tires are going to do right now in the long run. But if that caution comes out, what you did on that restart and these laps that have led up to this so far, did you use too much of it? Did you push too hard and take some of the good off of it?
And what if you're Eric Jones, you got to make another restart? Where do you start? I mean, that was an amazing job grabbing the lead from Brad on the bottom of the racetrack, and he did it, but he was sideways throwing sparks to try to pull that off. An amazing job by that young man. What does he do next, though? And his crew's got to be thinking about that. How do we line up again?
I'm proud of him for sticking with it. I know I said he might regret it, but I'm proud of him for sticking with what he felt like he needed to do, and he wanted that inside lane, and he finally made it work. So maybe he learned on those previous restarts what wasn't working, and he made it stick that time, and now here he is pulling away.
I was going to say the lead now almost a second and a half, Vince.
Well, and Eric really likes the way his race car is handling. And, you know, got to give credit in part of this victory for sure to Mike Wheeler, the crew chief. They tweaked on this car throughout the course of the night to where when they got to the very last pit stop of the evening, they didn't have to make any adjustments. Just put 4 tires on it. Eric has been pleased with the handling of the car throughout the evening. And when it had to be good late in the race, the car was good.
And you mentioned Mike Wheeler, Vince. He's never won as a crew chief in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. What an opportunity for him, and a big opportunity for the sponsor. GameStop, headquartered in Dallas. Eric was there yesterday. Would love to deliver a victory for them tonight.
Michael Wheeler, the crew chief you're talking about. Wheels is his nickname. He was Denny Hamlin's engineer. Very talented young man. Stepped into this role with Eric Jones, and I tell you, watching Eric in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, he knows how to call for adjustments. He knows what he needs to feel to go faster, and he's going as fast right now as he has his whole career, holding off Brad Keselowski and Dale Earnhardt Jr.
And this is a tough racetrack to keep up on adjustments, so that's extremely important at this racetrack to give really accurate information back to the crew so that they can make the right adjustments. And so far, that looks like they've done all the right things. I didn't think anybody could pull away from Brad Keselowski tonight. Here we've got Darrell Walsh Jr. and Chris Buescher battling it out.
A couple of teammates, and they're not shy about running each other hard. Looked like Darrell Wallace Jr. almost pushed up into Buescher off turn 4 last time by. Good battle right here inside the top 10.
I mean, this is what I love about this racetrack. Not only are we up against the wall and going to the bottom, but we're seeing cars that were up towards the front battling, possibly for the lead. Now they're back in 7th or 8th. We've got guys that were in the back that came to the front. There's just battles all over this racetrack, and it's an amazing racetrack to watch and to be a part of as a driver.
15 to go, Larry. It's been a really entertaining night here in Texas.
Well, it has, with 15 laps to go, Adam. But Michael, you do the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series races, and Eric Jones has won 4 times. But how fitting would it be if he could win here at Texas, considering last June he couldn't attend his graduation ceremony for high school and actually had his graduation here during pre-race for the Truck Series race last June.
I tell you, Larry, since he outran Kyle Busch in the Snowball Derbies a couple years ago, got his opportunity with Kyle Busch Motorsports, I haven't seen that young man do anything wrong. He's been amazing. He's been fast. He wins. The adjustments he calls for, and that restart, that was career restart to me, in my eyes, that he just pulled off.
That and the laps that he's been putting together here. And, you talk about, graduation and doing those things at the racetrack. That's what you call full commitment. I mean, this kid is committed. He's obviously has the talent and the poise to be able to pull off a restart like that. But he also is fully committed. And, boy, that's a crew chief and team and sponsor's dream.
And Do you remember, Jeff, the first time some kid showed up and beat you? Maybe Kyle Busch did it, or Kurt, or Carl Edwards, and you're thinking, that guy's going to be a lot to handle for the rest of my career. That's what Eric is doing to those guys out there tonight.
Absolutely. We're seeing the future right here.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of this night a year ago when Chase Elliott came here. Had never won, goes out, gets the victory, beating some big-time Cup stars on a late restart, holds them off, and gets his first checkered flag.
Absolutely. Very reminiscent of that night.
Denny Hamlin's joined this battle of the teammates, Chris Buescher and Darrell Wallace Jr. Hamlin's struggled to run in the top 5, currently running the 9th spot, trailing these two. A little bit surprised that Denny wasn't more competitive than he is tonight, considering his teammates leading the race.
That's what I was going to say. A little bit tougher on him. I mean, it's been a rough night, but then to know that your teammate is actually up there, dominating the race right now as it closes down to the end, that makes it even tougher.
Austin Dillon right now 5th. Could be a problem, huh, Vince?
Yeah, communicated with crew chief Nick Harrison, and he felt like maybe he was having a motor issue. Remember, they had an engine issue earlier this season, and they feel like maybe it's letting go, but we'll see. Boy, that'd be awful timing for a yellow if you're Eric Jones.
Yeah, he had those problems a few weeks ago. Auto Club Speedway in California, and that's the last thing Eric Jones would like to see at this stage, a caution with 10 laps to go and a lead of nearly 2 seconds over second place Brad Keselowski.
Now, I'm not going to try to come across as too selfish right now, but I really would like to see a first-time winner in my first time up here in the booth. Of course, I'd like to see a caution with another restart as well, but I'd love to see this kid win this race.
I love this battle of these teammates. Bubba Wallace looks like he's going to prevail on this lap. Got around Buescher. This has been good racing here.
And big-time points implications when you talk about these two drivers, both coming in top 5 in points. In fact, Chris Buescher entering the night only 5 behind Ty Dillon for the championship lead.
And a good move there by Darrell Wallace Jr. He's been riding behind Buescher for a little while, been watching his lane that he's been running, and I liked what he did there because he got by him, but then he went down the next corner and he knew Buescher won that inside lane. He went right down to the bottom to basically just take that air off of his car.
You know, Joe Gibbs Racing has not won through the first 5 races of the year, and that's a big-time surprise when you consider how dominant they have been in the Xfinity Series, winning 10 times a year ago. And I realize they've been without Kyle Busch, who's really carried the flag. But how much of an honor would it be for young Eric Jones, who wasn't supposed to run near as many races as he already has because of Kyle's injury, to come out and deliver for the coach here at Texas, their first victory of the season?
An amazing job that young man's doing, but Jeff, he doesn't want to see a restart.
No,
he doesn't want to see a caution. But man, the job he did on the last restart, I wouldn't be surprised if that young man couldn't step up and pull it off again.
Absolutely, I've got confidence in him. That's why I'd kind of like to see it, because I do want to see him win the race. But right now, of course, as you're the leader, you're just hoping that nothing goes wrong. You're feeling every vibration inside the car. You're making sure that nothing's going wrong with your car, and then at the same time you're watching everything around you and just praying that you don't hear or see a yellow light.
A year ago, Chase Elliott wins this race. He winds up going to get your ride, the 24 car in 2016. An amazing night for that young man. We're seeing the same thing here with Eric Jones. He wins this race tonight. I'm sure he's going to be in Cup in 2016, and he, like Chase Elliott, really has proven that they deserve this opportunity.
Well, the first one will be in victory lane if he wins this race will be Joe Gibbs, who will be congratulating him and then saying, okay, don't take any phone calls this week.
Oh, by the way, here's your new contract, right?
In case we didn't have that thing done, it'll be done tomorrow.
And keeping in mind, Eric Jones isn't full-time running for the championship in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. His commitment in 2015 is to the Camping World Truck Series, where he'll try and win the title for Kyle Busch. So he's kind of moonlighting here on a Friday night and trying to get his first career victory at one of NASCAR's top levels.
He's a very talented moonlighter.
Yes, he is.
This is an amazing performance. He's got 4 laps to go, and like Jeff says, he feels every vibration, and he's just hoping for no caution. He's got this baby in the bag if the caution doesn't fly.
Oh, a great battle here between the 9, the 54, and all the lap traffic, and Buescher. Which lane do I take?
Blake Cook saying, okay, y'all sort this out. Leave me out of this mess.
Whoa. Looks like Chase Elliott got a little bit loose as he drove into turn 3 there and slid up close to the wall, but got a good run off. It looks like he's getting really strong runs off the corner, getting a run at Denny. He'll go to the inside here as we go into 1.
Every point counts, too. Chase Elliott running for a championship, as is Chris Buescher. Buescher was up there battling for the 6th spot with Darrell Wallace Jr. Now he finds himself all the way back to 9th, so losing some ground here late.
You thought that Chase Elliott had the pass completed. He was a long way ahead of him through the middle of the corner because he ran the bottom, but Denny never gave up on that outside and carried that momentum and got back by him. Got to be a little frustrating for Chase Elliott because that was looking like a great pass.
Elliott, another one of those drivers right in the mix for the championship, came in 15 points out in 3rd, that despite a DNF in the season opener at Daytona.
2 to go.
Comes back and gets the white flag.
What a night it's been for Eric Jones.
He'll know he doesn't face another restart.
Clear. One more smart one here. One more smart one. No need to force on the 25 to see which direction you're going to go. Set him up.
That's just some good coaching from the spotter. He's got this baby won.
It's never over till it's over, right?
We saw poor Brendan Gaughan just going through the corner. A car blew a tire and wiped him right out. Anything can happen in NASCAR.
And think about Eric Jones. He beat Kyle Busch in the Snowball Derby. Kyle said, I'm going to give you a chance to run a truck. He did it in dominating fashion.
With him.
And tonight, he's going to take another step on NASCAR's ladder.
Yeah.
First career victory, Eric Jones comes at Texas.
You knew that was coming. It was coming soon.
Well done, everybody. Well done. Tony, thank you. Pit crew, excellent job. Clean sweep today. Led the most laps, started the pole, and cleaned house. Celebrate, guys.
Nothing quite like the excitement of winning your first race. What's he, 18 years old?
18 years old.
That's a good night of racing at 18 years old. That's amazing. Good for him. And proud dad.
Absolutely.
I think the longest he's ever gone without winning a truck race is like 4 starts.
So this is nothing new for him, is what you're saying.
He's very, very comfortable with winning.
It took them longer than they would have expected, but 6 races into 2015, Joe Gibbs Racing has their first victory of the campaign in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Plenty more post-race coverage on the way from Texas Motor Speedway. Right now, it's Fox Sports Live in Los Angeles. Let's send it to our studios now and hear from Cole and Ryan. Thank you, fellas. And it's kind of a day here at Texas Motor Speedway. 1 year ago, an 18-year-old kid full of talent comes here, gets his first career win. That was Chase Elliott. Tonight, it's all about Michigan's Eric Jones. Led the most laps, 80 circuits out front, and he now has his first checkered flag in the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
He even celebrates like Kyle Busch. Made a big smoke screen, and he climbed out, and there he appeared, and then he went over and got that checkered flag and was waving it like you've seen Kyle do when he wins these races.
And Jeff, you said you'd like to see a first-time winner and your first time in the booth. What do you think, bud?
What an amazing experience. I mean, I've had a lot of fun up here, but to get a chance to see a young talent and the future of our sport with Eric Jones winning his first Xfinity race, what a pleasure.
Dale Jr. ended up 3rd tonight. He was impressive, Chris.
Yeah, he was. He was running right near the front, battling with Eric Jones most of the night. But Dale, just listening on you on the radio, sounded like you just had a difficult time keeping the back end of the car underneath you.
Yeah, I couldn't go when we needed to go. The car just stepping out real big, real loose all night. They made some great adjustments. Dave and the guys helped the car quite a bit and got us to where we semi-competitive. We needed green flags pit stops. Our car was real fast on green flag stops. Good job to Gibbs and Eric and all those guys. I thought Brad had the best car, but right when it counted, Eric took off and drove a great race all night. So I knew it was good. Now everybody else knows.
Dale Jr. coming home 3rd. Vince.
Brad Keselowski just having a conversation there with his crew chief, Greg Irwin. Dale Jr. said he thought maybe you might have had the best car tonight. Came from the back, started at the back, drove it right to the front. Yeah. But how about that last restart?
Yeah, Eric, he had a great car and did a great job. We ran wide open, side by side for about 2 laps in a row, and eventually just he cleared me. So that was good racing. But Discount Tire Ford was really fast, just not quite enough.
Brad Keselowski, runner-up tonight.
Not bad when you consider he started at the tail of the field after unapproved adjustments following qualifying. Brad drove his way through the field, easily got to the top 10, and they knew he was here tonight behind Eric Jones. He led 56 laps. He was number 2 in that category. Let's go back down to Chris.
Well, another guy who had to come from the back tonight, Regan Smith. You were running up front. You had a loose wheel, so you had to come back to pit lane again, but charge right back to the front. Good run for you.
Yeah, we did. We had a fast TaxSlayer.com Chevy, and I was proud of that. It was fast all weekend, and thought it was a car that could challenge for the win possibly. We had to fight hard all night to recover there, but I got a phenomenal pit crew, and they rebounded after that little issue and gained me spots every time I came down pit road, which they always do every week. So that's you're going to have that throughout the course of the year. I'm going to make mistakes and just try to battle back whenever they happen. And it was a solid night and gained some Xfinity Series points, so that was good too.
Regan Smith putting together a strong string of races. Vince?
Well, Austin Dillon and his team made it interesting when they made that call to come get tires and fuel a little bit earlier than everybody else. Got off sequence a little bit. Thought maybe that might have been a difference maker until that last yellow. Did you feel like maybe you had a car that was going to be able to get it done tonight?
Yeah, earlier I did. I just we didn't have the speed that the 20 or the 22 had. I feel like we were competitive with the 88 and the 7, but there at the end we got hot, and I think we were just losing speed. So proud of these Rude guys. They worked really, really good and did a lot of adjustments during the race. We had a lot go wrong. We had a little bit of a failure, was getting the car full and then missing on pit stops, but stuff happens, and they recovered, and we made a good day out of it. So it's been a long day, back and forth between Cup and Xfinity, but I'm having fun.
Yeah, 5th place finish for Austin Dillon. Good luck tomorrow night. Adam?
Well, Austin Dillon's donning his cowboy hat, and I think Eric Jones is about to get one in victory lane. The celebration is on. Let's go there now, Jamie.
Tonight, as we always do, is Sunoco Victory Lane at Texas Motor Speedway. We're fired up for Eric Jones, 18 years old. Not the youngest runner on track here.
In his 8th career start, Eric Jones is victorious here in the Xfinity Series. Tonight, we saw some aggressive racing. You and Dale Earnhardt Jr., you and Brad Keselowski, and you did not back down. Where does that gusto, that confidence come from in you so early in your career?
It's just, man, I don't even know what to say right now. It's so surreal. That confidence has been something that I've never doubted in myself. I've always had that. Just always had to believe in myself growing up. And getting here at Victory Lane in Texas in the Xfinity Series, and man, it's just amazing. It's just amazing. We beat Cup guys tonight. That's huge. That's huge for us. That's huge for our team. I never once doubted in these guys. I knew from the start that this was going to be a good deal, and it's definitely showing now. And yeah, I can't wait for the rest of the year. I think we're going to be seeing this hopefully some more often.
You pretty much had a flawless night on pit road, your race car, the way you drove. What was it like, though, battling Dale Earnhardt Jr. up there for the win?
Yeah, we had an awesome GameStop Camry from the start, but man, he raced hard. He was racing us hard, and we threw it right back and then raced right back with him. And I hope he had fun. I had a blast. I know I came out on the better end, but it was so much fun. Just hard racing like that with those guys, and they've been doing it so long. They know exactly what they're doing, and I'm just still trying to figure most of it out. So learned a lot from racing side by side with those guys, and just so happy right now. So happy to get a win this early on in the season and in Xfinity Series.
Congratulations. You certainly look like a veteran. Eric Jones, remember that name. You're going to be hearing a lot of him.
No doubt about it. Eric's got a big smile on his face tonight, Jamie. And there's another guy I would guess smiling pretty big as well. Kyle Busch, who discovered this young talent. We all know his story. Injured at Daytona. Can't be at the track, but he's got to be a proud guy tonight.
Oh, I'm sure he's been tweeting like crazy about that win.
I bet he's beside himself tonight. And Joe Gibbs, J.D. Gibbs, has been a bit under the weather. It's good to see that team get a great break by winning a race tonight. And the way he won it, he said it. We beat Cup guys tonight, and he beat them heads up. That was an amazing restart that young man made and drove off to victory.
Yeah, you know, he was talking about these veterans knowing what they were doing, and he wasn't sure. Well, I think he showed all of us that he certainly knew what he was doing tonight.
The foundation has been laid very strong for Eric Jones when you talk about his success, not only in the Camping World Truck Series, but certainly now in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. But a true game changer. We saw what a win like this did a year ago for Chase Elliott. To do it on this stage, it changes the way everybody looks at you in the sport.
Well,
go ahead, Michael.
You have to look at this young man and what he's been able to accomplish. Winning truck races in every 4 starts, he goes to victory lane. And now just 6 races into this 2015 season, he sets in victory lane. Pencil him in for the Cup ride in 16. And don't be surprised if he doesn't get some races this year because of the performance tonight.
And I loved what Dale Jr. said. He's like, well, you know, we all knew, but now everybody knows.
That's right. The cat is out of the bag, Danielle. Eric Jones is really good, and we're going to be talking about him for a long time to come.
We'll remember this night for a lot of reasons, Adam. Jeff Gordon's debut in the broadcast booth, a passing of the torch, if you will, with 18-year-old Eric Jones, the feel-good story of the night. No matter who your favorite driver is, it just feels good to see the 18-year-old win in just his 9th career start. As we take a look at the results, Eric Jones, the first win for Joe Gibbs Racing this season. He does it from the pole and beats 4 Cup regulars inside the top 10, Larry.
You see, Austin Dillon finished 5th. Thought he may have had an engine issue there at the end. Denny Hamlin, not the night that he was looking for in that 54 car, subbing for Kyle Busch.
Yeah, Ty Dillon starting the race in the 16th position, finishing 12th. Ryan Reed, the big winner at Daytona, he has a top 15 finish, Larry.
There you see some of the guys doing double duty back here. Landon Castle finishing back in the 25th position.
9 drivers doing double duty overall on this Friday evening at Texas Motor Speedway. Let's take a look at how the points battle is shaping up just a half dozen races into the season. Ty Dillon remains your points leader. Chris Buescher, though, he's closing in just 2 points back. Chase Elliott climbing the 3rd, which is an interesting conversation, Larry. Chase has come up 17 points positions in the last 4 races. He's the defending winner of this race. Some people wondering, different crew chief, is he battling confidence issues? It's nice to see for Chase Elliott. He gained some momentum here with a solid run, finishing 8th.
We know he has a lot on his shoulders, especially with what's coming down the pipe, but I think he's handling it well. And he said, right now my focus is on 2015, not 2016.
And one more note to point out on Eric Jones, not a Sprint Cup Series regular, not even an Xfinity regular, battling for the championship in the Camping World Truck Series. Has extra seat time filling in for Kyle Busch. Can't wait to see what he continues to do throughout this Xfinity Series season. Fox Sports Live starting right now. Let's send it to Ryan and Cole in LA.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.